Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming. We're going into Season 57, 5 versus 5 Grand Arena Championship. It's the preview time, though. This is the lock-in period for Week 1 as we speak right now. I am joined by my regular co-hosts, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Dagger, how you doing this evening?
Doing good. A little haggard. But I don't nearly have the same problems as apparently TJ was playing Fast and the Furious earlier in
Don't
traffic.
steal his thunder. We'll get to him in due time.
I just want to make a Fast and the Furious reference,
Oh,
okay?
okay, okay,
He didn't
okay.
Paul Walker himself. He's Vin Diesel in this story.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm still here, so
fantastic.
hashtag too soon. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm here though.
TJ, how are you doing?
Oh, good man. I almost didn't make it because there was like a huge big ambulances, the whole nine car accident on my way home that got just absolutely bombarded. Took up both lanes type situation. So I wasn't a part of it, thank God. But it was like holy hell. The way it looked out was nuts, dude. Closed off end to end, huge. Other than that, I'm good.
Hey, fantastic. Glad you made it home safe.
Mm-hmm.
Sasha, how are you?
Doing great. I tend to take the GAC bye weeks as sort of mental health refreshers and spend a week more or less away from the game. And so for me, yeah, pretty, rejuvenated and excited to get back in, take a week's worth of dust off, and talk about state of the game and the upcoming season with you guys. So yeah, doing well.
Fantastic. All right, we're excited to get into it. Fatal, how about you, sir? How you doing?
Pause and rewind. Aren't all of your GAC weeks bye weeks now? How's how's your mental
Yeah,
health doing, sir?
yeah.
Also, hashtag too soon. Don't do that to him. He can't take that. Don't give him the hard truths.
Yeah, I guess at this point, I've just become acclimated in my old age to one, maybe two matches a week. I can't handle a full three load anymore.
You're just gonna
Um,
explode.
yeah. So we'll see, but feeling good. Not depleted yet, but that depends. Once I start matching up with you again, Fatal, and my life expectancy shortens. So
Yeah, you
good for
don't
the
know that
moment.
you're
Thank you,
rusty
though.
until you find yourself rusty.
That's right.
That's fair. But yeah,
Uh,
what's good, Fatal?
yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, no, it's been a journey the last month, but I'm kind of approaching like reconnecting with the game, and it isn't a break that I took. Like I've been doing the bare minimums, but I'm just mentally I have not really been thinking about the game, and it's been a weird time. But I don't know.
Okay.
Kind of ripping back up, kind of getting the office put back together, trying to make it child proof.
Yes, for the furry children.
Yeah,
Yes.
I,
Fantastic.
I would like to make a cat cam, but I don't know if that'll even work. My last cat, whenever I would start, it wasn't even when I was talking to a mic. It was when I would turn on a stream. My cat was just like, nah. In fact, I'm out of here. This
Was there like
sucks.
a red glowing light on the camera? It was just staring
No,
at the
no,
cat.
no, not at all. It was extremely funny though. Like somehow they knew. The
Yep.
only thing that changed was like a couple of lights turned off and a couple of lights turned on. And that wasn't even the trigger. It was the moment that I started talking.
Okay. All right. Yeah, yeah.
You're,
Well, yeah. I mean, my daughter, I can see the change on her face, like when I'm talking with stream voice versus dad voice. Like, yeah, yeah,
I don't
you're
know. It
in
was
that
kind of
camera,
based.
right? If he gets you kicked off Twitch, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, just
Oh, really? So
Wait.
they don't permit it? Because I was going to say, if you could do your like starting soon 5 minute sort of ramp up with a kitty cam,
Oh
that would be
yes.
awesome. They
Wait,
don't
why
yeah.
is
permit
that
it.
bannable?
I'm saying kitty cam, pussy cam. You gotta be careful, man.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Okay. Whoosh goes the joke. Thank
We
you,
can't take you anywhere, Dagger. We
man.
can't take you
Man.
anywhere.
What else do you expect from a show called PNS?
You've been waiting. You've been waiting.
It's only when you get
We're setting
daggered
that
by
up.
the
Yeah, that
PNS.
whole joke
It's
was the
it's
setup for
only
You've been
PNS.
waiting.
it's only when you get daggered by the PNS. Don't be a dick about it. Don't be a dick.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right, guys. Well, we do have a good agenda tonight, and I guess it's just as well that you guys, myself included, took it fairly easy this last week, so we'll be pretty fresh to this stuff. Let's dig into the week one related items. First, our preparations, mods, relics, etc. Myself, I've been panic farming offense sets and crit damage for a couple of reasons. I'm still undecided which way I'm going to end up modding Death Trooper, Peridia. Probably going to do it like tomorrow morning, survey a few people and see, come up with some type of reasonable composite. But yeah, mods and crit damage, panic farming, and then let's see, one other thing. Yeah, this one's for you, Fatal. Are you proud of me, Dad? Are you proud of me, Dad?
Do you have 100% crit chance?
On her?
Oh, who?
Oh,
I was looking at a different person, I guess.
oh, yeah, no, the Relic 9 Marin.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Master Quack and crit chance.
Oh, no, wait, how high did you want it to be?
I said not until it's 100%.
Oh,
so.
yeah, no, yeah.
You're
no.
gonna have to wait till 8 mods and then I'll be proud.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
You sit down, son. Shut the fuck up. You don't need to talk anymore.
Yeah.
Dad is not
Dude,
impressed.
I'm telling you, R9 Marin, more than any season, I think got the most value for me last season.
I was actually sold on it watching it last season. Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
It's 100% a luxury. I'm not out here banging the drum. It's like, you should R9 your Marin.
Yeah.
But if you're an enjoyer of the counter, like, you are buying insurance for the counter.
Future proofing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What I love is before it was cool, Fate already did it. He did the Scions. He did the Marin. So it's like, it's out there from experience. So I respect it, man. And that was a good one. I know Tass asked, like, give me a good one to do. So it's like the Marin's like, I respect this. This is nice.
I put it in the list. I ranked it out and I was like, that pack in the shop allows me to jump the schedule here. So we'll do that.
You know what absolutely killed me?
What's that?
Speaking of Scion, is set 16 was like a glimpse into an alternate reality where Scion was not only like a respectable tank, but actively like enjoyable. Oh, yeah. And like it opened up his kit, man. He could actually taunt. He could actually like reapply pain to you. His assist with the tank level 6. His basic cleanses himself if they have pain. So you just have this self-cleansing, auto-taunting, re-taunting, and taunting out of turn. Like, the character is actually good. He's snapping up as well quickly. Like,
it takes you back to the dream that was his R9 originally for you.
Well, the R9 back at the day, was solely just a Maul bulk check. Like that was from that era of theory crafting where like, hey, I have a theory craft against Rey and or Maul. What if I just make this tank have more than 300,000 bulk? And like that was the extent of it. But no, this is the first time that Scion felt like a character, and it was like, this should be an holocron for this guy. It's not gonna be. He's trying to go back to not existing, but like, no, a better world is possible.
So that would be what? Dark Side Tank Revive level 3, Long Text level 6?
It didn't even have to be Tank Revive. I was using it with Set Eternal, but it's just Tank Word 6. That's all it needed.
Dig that. All right. That's a good one. Well, yeah, guys, the floor is open. You know how it is that we do for the longer episode. Just chime in with that, with whatever you guys have been thinking about for your prep for week 1, mods, relics, whatnot. We'll talk about Datacrons in quite some detail here. Next line down. So basically, anything else you guys have been doing that's good?
Well, got started on Peridia and Night Trooper because they're going to be useful here very quickly.
Yeah.
Outside of the DTMG team, I mean, they're like with DTMG, their mods don't matter a ton. Like they can beat something like Java pretty, I don't say easily, but they can do some stuff, right? But getting them in like big boy mods here for at least week 1 or 2 is going to be high on my list. I have some rebinding to do in the morning.
What kind of spec are you going for the two of them?
I think I'm going to start them off with just full health, just because of Enoch.
Really?
You're trying to prep early. Okay, I see.
Yeah, that was.
You're doing the lazy man's way, and I'm proud and disappointed.
Them to get the most mileage out of them.
And I'm disappointed in you, Dagger. I'm proud and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because I think week 1's gonna do some big shit, but week 2 I understand your thought process. Getting future-wise.
I don't think that their modding matters a ton under DTMG for what that team does. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously they hit harder, but DTMG's mods matter and like scout mods matter, and Night Troopers the damage. Whether I have him in like 5 dot mods and he kills Java. Like, I don't think his mods matter a ton. He just ramps his damage and assists.
That's fair. That's fair.
I've been playing with that team, man. I don't know. I think there's an underlying that you're not understanding the slappies are going to come from somebody who's well equipping, and I would give it the Aesop's of the world and all that. I've been studying and reviewing.
So what are you thinking? What are you seeing out there, TJ?
It's right now, from what I can tell, one turn order is going to be a thing, and the way you want to apply things. I know we'll talk about the week 2, the Enox, because that's another game to play.
That'd be great to talk about there.
The one big thing right now, I'm full on CD set, but I'm still pushing numbers that he can do quite well.
Now we were talking about both of them. So you doing CD set for both Night and TTP?
No, I want as much. I want more potency into Night Trooper. I want him chucking to like 11k damage or as close as I can to it because I'm gonna make him hurt. I'm gonna make the things that are gonna stick really well. But for DTP, that's a full CD set. That's CDCC. I'm up to like 115, 120 crit chance. He's at 10k damage as well still, so it's like high crit chance, high damage with a CD set, full on taking advantage of what it's going to do.
Speed arrow?
I'd have to check it. I got him right now aligned to be set up. The turn order that I'm looking at is he's faster than Night Trooper by 1 right now, but I don't know if that's going to end up being the super correct thing. We'll see. I need to see what Enoch does.
Hear what you guys think, and we'll definitely go
that
over
piece. That piece is important to me. These two together are the brothers of killing shit. It's like the hero pose or the fins, like the 5-speed difference. This one is 1-on-1, and what they do together is going to be the leader of teams. And this Datacron, which we'll talk about, also takes a play into it, but it's got money shots. And I know we'll talk more about Enoch and what the team's going to be for conventional later, but it's got there's some heat here that I think people are gonna miss, and it's cool. The kit on kit action and how they built DTP. They built some of the lead into DTP that you need to be careful and look at everything. So I've been doing a lot of studying. So when you talk about preps and relics, it's R8s across the board right now for the remnants. I've dealt with Morgan as well. So I took her up. She's at R7 just to meet the thing because Remnant is huge right now in my opinion. They are the absolute beastly monies, and then it's other ones for relics and mods is playing off of the Datacrons and what I expect. One of the other things we'll talk about. So like Cup, R7 Cup at a minimum to give him some stuff to make sure he does his thing because I think he's going to be a huge player in 5s, and then Nest. Ness is another one that don't sleep on that Kron. She is a beast, and the old school method of I can't make her move. I took the wrong team and I did the wrong thing is also another one that I'm playing off of. Oh, and then STH. Don't forget STH. STH has merit here as well, depending on how he plays. So I've been bulking him and playing his up with the health, etc.
So are you setting that up? Dagger alluded to that Sana team that's in effect. Is that what he's for? Or are you still thinking of that going with Leia? That going with Rey?
I'm maneuvering to what Dagger said, which I thought was cool. I am maneuvering it to where I can maneuver my team as I need to throughout the week. I'm not trying to go one way or the other. That's the idea, is because, and I know we'll go into it. It's these pieces are going to move the puzzle, and it's going to change the puzzle throughout the week. So one thing where it's tank one fight and then support next changes your fight structure and what you're trying to do, and you might miss something. So there's just a lot of nuances to it.
Fair. How about you guys? Any of the rest of you guys? Other prep? No? All right.
I'm kinda. I think I'm gonna get into this later in the show, but I'm kind of mentally just bracing myself for. Okay, in shows like Dragon Ball Z, when your favorite fighter's in the arena, but someone new just got pushed, and that they don't stand a chance, but that the fight has to happen anyway.
The Krillin effect.
It's just kind of yes. I think I'm a little bit worried that Set 15 is about to just get Krillin, and now we're just very rapidly headed back towards a cheese meta, and so
Yeah.
I don't know why you're worried about it. That's exactly what's gonna happen, Fatal. it's just not as
Yeah,
cool,
unfortunately.
man. It's just not as cool, man. You know as I do.
Yeah, you don't
When
have to worry about it, Phil. You're standing
No,
on the
it's done.
tracks. You can see the
Yeah,
light
dude.
coming at you. It sounds like a train. It is a train.
You know as well as I do. Shit's cool when it's bulky or whatever it's doing, but when you change the full fight in the game by just adding one thing, right? Adding this flare, or you make a slappy that says, "Here's a whole bunch of debuffs. Now let me take one thing and it deletes team or does something else." That's amazing. That's a new game to play, and everybody wants to do it.
It's really annoying because the teams that are and we'll get more into this when we talk more about crons, but the teams that are going to hold up to like damage are going to be teams that you are going to curse. Right? Like I mean, just wait for the first time you fight like the Jolie Xeris Visas with the Visas Cron, right? Like, just wait. It doesn't get better. Like Fatal said, when the support and attacker crons and tank crons all help you do a shit ton of damage, what are we even doing here?
Dude, don't sleep on healers.
Oh, sure.
True.
But you're right.
I did mention
That's what
healers.
I'm
I'm
saying.
like, you just do like Ray. Just wait until you have to beat like Ray, Ben, Xeris, Visas, Jolie.
But all right,
That's
so
all that shit.
I think 15's dead. I think we'll go into that. That's here nor there, and I want to hear about the modding and the relics, but
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Fatal. I think Fatal's got probably gonna have some of the best things. I'm most excited to watch a Fatal stream because he'll go out off cuff, and the shit will get wild because he'll literally put it all on defense and then figure out on offense, and those are the best ones to watch because this set changes the game. It changes the entire landscape of what. Well, this might be good. It's like, nope. This is the way I watch this, and this destroyed that, and this exciting.
Another thing I did is I took Visas, Xeris, the Night Trooper, and the Peridia, all to R8, like TJ said.
yeah.
Like, and like I took Xeris and I took Visas to R8 because these healer crons, as TJ even alluded to. What? Why? Like, fine. Fine, I'll do it. Right? Like, he got me. I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I'm really intrigued. In fact, some of the sort of toys it feels like we got last Christmas, like the beginning of this Datacron season, we haven't really opened the boxes yet, like a Jedi Consular, for example.
Yeah.
I know.
As well. Like, there were a couple of things I was thinking about with Jedi Consular. I don't know if I'll do this. I don't know if they have any viability. I haven't tested them, but this was just, sitting there and thinking, like, one, if you Jedi Consular, unfortunately, is really only an offensive option because I don't believe that the AI has not set up his heal to be used other than like when in allies in red. Maybe I'm wrong. But
obviously you're wrong, Sasha. I'm gonna count.
Do they use it as a revive?
I fought it.
And
Here's the thing. What's cool? I fought it in 3, so I got to watch it live and what it was doing. A properly built consular was a pain in the dick. Fuck the ass.
Right.
It literally was doing it and it was under Beck, right? But you ran out of the resources. What it was doing, consular was being smart because
it's fascinating.
It was just everything was aligned well. So there was Mason there to tie in, watching what Consular was doing under the back team. So those pieces were connecting very well, and it's very apparent what it can do on the right team and the right setup. So if you set it up,
that's the thing, though. The right team, and that's where it's a little unorthodox, is like that revive only works for non-Jedi. So I keep thinking, like, here's first a quick thought that it's probably nothing, but maybe sort of like just a high survivability offensive option is use a Star Killer with a Consular, Kron, and Consular and Vsauce, right? So you have each of them have to be killed twice. Consular can revive everybody else. Vsauce can revive Consular, and you give like a nice opportunity for that club to run. And then the other thing I was thinking, I don't know if I'll do this at all, but it just seemed like it'd be a lot of fun, was what if you ran like a General Grievous team on offense, and Grievous, really ramps damage really nicely, has 0, in fact, negative survivability for the squad. But what if you threw Consular in as the 5th? And, you don't bring B1, right?
Well, no,
and
you have to cut stab.
Oh, does his staff have no revive, or it requires
No,
only
no.
Separatists?
Yeah, he
Only
requires
Separatist droid? Okay, yeah, but even if you did that and it's
Yeah.
solely relying on a Grievous Ram, still could be kind of fun. So anyway, those are like like I said, that's the unwrapped or unopened new toy that I still am excited to play with. That's interesting, TJ, that you saw it in action and it looked
Dude,
menacing.
I will say you have to go look at my 3v3 history, but whoever I fought and it was on, I took just enough to beat it, but I was completely annoyed by the fight. So adding 2 more characters to the construct makes a lot of sense to me,
Totally.
and just because he kept blocking me, and then he would heal, and I would go through the fight trying to get to the point, and then Mace would come in and screw around with things as well. So it was cool to see. And got a great idea. So I could see a fully lined up consular doing some stupid shit already as it is, and the tie in with the other healers. It's like, yeah, that could be a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this seems like an organic point to move to the second discussion item. What datacrons are you focusing on for 5 versus 5 week 1? Anything new that you guys have been preparing here? I, for one, have been in a scramble to just make sure that I had enough attacker and supports because I happen to get just a good handful of tanks, a couple healers, and then very few attackers and even less support. So that's what I've really been shoring up.
Oh yeah, I just got yelled at by JMA. Shout out JMA for not having enough supports. So, yep. I got to fix that.
How many is enough going into 5s then? What do you think, Tiger? Or maybe more importantly, what does JMA think?
I was told 8.
Yeah, that's a guild ask, which is something, like Maw Chromium, it seems like the number they want is something like 8 supports, 6 attackers, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was told to have 8 for TW, so I went and built, I'm at 7 right now. I might try to build an 8th tonight. But for GAC, I was happy with 6. I'm sure you could make use of more. Don't get me wrong, but I had use for 6 off the bat. I knew where I could use them. Obviously, more is better because it gives you more options, lets you tinker or toggle characters in and out of lineups based on the stats on the crons a little bit, or lets you min max matchups a little better based on your opponent's crons. But obviously, more is better. That being said, I think I only needed 6 for what I was planning to do.
Fair enough. How about you guys? What other datacrons were you trying to make sure you got in time for this week?
Oh, Ewok Elder was a level 9 I want to fuck around with.
Oh yeah, you're gonna do it really? Because
Yes.
you're a pretty big Ewok hater for defense. So I mean, I assume this is for some offensive application.
I mean, the Chios team is back too with the Terminator level 6. It's basically a closed loop. So
no, I was thinking the same thing as Dagger. So I'm glad you're calling it out. It's no. The loop I saw, so even though I talked this shit, right, I still watched the loop, so I know what it's capable of. Now you're gonna add the proper 2 characters in there with Elder, dude. I'm a believer in what the Ewoks are gonna do, and I don't know what's really talking about it, but Dagger's spot on. That if you can build them, they will come.
Also, Ewok Elder's Revive is not specifically tied to Ewoks.
And the heal happens so damn much.
Yeah.
The cooldown reduction on Elder is so much. It's right, and it's just so much, man. And that damn AI is quick to continue to fix it and heal and bring
the
back.
reason why I think it's interesting is because Chirpa's going to be leading Geos this season, right? So that means that if you're going to use Ewoks, they're going to be someplace else. And I have a couple ideas that I'll have to test them a little bit before I actually talk about them. I don't want to have anybody else do Dagger said this worked. No, I don't know if shit works. But I do have some plans for Ewok Eldercron. We'll just put it that way. They're not going to be taking down GLs or anything, but I got a couple ideas where to plug that bitch in and use it. But yeah, since Chirpa's going to be picking up the Geos with that Terminator level 6, and they're going to take literally all of the turns. Yeah. And you mentioned the Sana team before.
Yeah.
What else? There's 1 or 2 more teams.
What cron you running for that? I'm curious about that because I long for a time where Sana's actually good in Grand Arena. So
is that taking Stormtrooper on it?
I don't know how important everything is, but it's actually Rolo lead.
Real
Oh,
deal. Okay.
Rolo lead with Sana, and then Sana puts a debuff on them, proccing her
Yeah, it's a
react
support.
TM.
Right.
So,
Right, right,
support
right,
problem.
right. Oh, wow, that's smart. Let's see. Wow, I have to pull that up. I haven't looked at that in forever. Take a look. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. Cass out here reading kits again.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
hashtag
yeah.
that's the thing I
kit.
The
like about these
power,
crimes, though.
the
Like,
power
like
of
Sasha
literacy.
said, it's like Sasha nailed it though. This is like Christmas because there's a bunch of gifts we got put under the tree for 3v3, and we get to open for 5v5.
Very fair.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And there's
That's
a
what I'm
couple more
telling you.
other loops that I forget off the top of my head, but I was talking with Tom Ford,
Mm-hmm.
and Zareth has a video out about some of them, I think, or did some testing on stream about some of them. And Fatal will probably be able to talk more on them because I know his server was talking about a couple of them too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll pass it off to Fatal because he'll know more about this than I will.
And we're talking about which character specifically? I was
Oh, we were
reading.
talking about like the TM loop, like specifically I mentioned the Rolo lead Sana.
Yeah, I will be honest. I hate it. I'm like, the only reason why I haven't reported it is because it seemed like people were having fun with it, and I didn't want to be that guy. But as a resident defense enjoyer, I'm like, by the day, I'm increasingly just like the dude driving the car in Parasite, listening to the rich girl in the backseat, and just like increasingly disgruntled as it's like, no, don't take away my extra offense toy. And it's like,
Mm.
yeah,
And
it's a creative usage of the interaction between suspicion, and then when you look at Tailoga's Rolo Elite, where you get reactive TM, and effectively what it means is, even at just that baseline, you can just auto basic any team without reactivity, and it does exactly as it sounds. You just get a free I win button that you could just load up against teams with no reactivity, like Leia. And then if you get creative, you can start adding or making it work against increasing amounts of creativity or reactivity. Not creativity.
I saw some Chupio variants that were able to handle a variety of teams that have some reactivity.
Ooh. Yeah, that sounds gross. People have been parting out members of the main CLS team for a couple 5 vs 5 seasons now, so it wouldn't be
CLS
obscene
is
to
just
try.
kind of no longer sacred, to be honest.
Yeah.
Unless your bonus is exactly gas, there's not really a big use for it.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm disappointed too because I mean I still keep them rocking, so it's but that's interesting. I really had not been keeping my ear out because this is the first I'm hearing about that roller thing, but that is extremely clever and nasty.
And whenever and I'm gonna be honest, like I know to Fatal's chagrin, I always have like there's a soft spot in my heart for Chios. So whenever Chios are like relevant, I'm just like I don't really use the team all that much, but it is kind of like it's back, right? Like
At least the Chios had to earn their keep.
That's fair.
Right.
That's fair.
Not
They,
as a
they
hybrid
did not
type.
get a free I win card at the start of battle. That
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But are there any other loops you found, Fatal, that you like to share?
To be clear, I didn't find it. It was just people on my server.
Or
That's
are
fair.
you? I'll rephrase. Are there any other loops that you're aware of that you would like to share?
Yes.
There's a bug with Leia and Magma Trooper where Magma just gets a free preloaded Tarmeter that lets Maul go first because of a bug.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But even that doesn't land nearly as cringe to me as the Rolo interaction, even though it relies on a bug, because even then the Leia team has counterplay. Like, in my mind, that's really what this comes down to is, can you meaningfully interact? Because the Maul Magma thing is, like, not intended, but it still creates a spark, right? It's like all of a sudden, ooh, well, I want to post Leia. Well, what should I be looking at? Ooh, well, there's old Ben. Ooh, well, there... Right, you have interactions and options, and it all just cascades out from there. You're in a mod war, you're in a character war. That's pretty cool. So far, I mean, maybe someone figured out something. I can't really say I've put too much elbow grease on this, but it seems like Rolo just wins.
Okay. Well, that'll be exciting.
Yeah, I saw some chatter about it, and to what Fatal said, it does not seem like there is a very high skill threshold.
And what
It's a white
what
blanket.
does it kill up to, theoretically?
Leia, Jabba, anything that does not have really good reactive TM. Like if you take Krex, you can just put days on Jabba.
This sounds fun. I like this.
Yeah, like, but to Fatal's
It's
point,
like
yeah, to Fatal's point though, like, it's a 2-character team that lets you basically full auto or full basic auto, and then you can add characters in to stop your opponent from being able to take a turn.
Hideous. I'm delighted. All right, that's a good one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm with Fatal. I think it's funny that it exists. I don't think it's gonna be. Yeah. Right.
I had some appreciation. I can admit that, but also I'm kind of ready for that team to stop existing. And
Hey.
As you're saying it now, be aware. CG's listening, so it's okay. Have no fear, Fatal. Your dreams will come true.
God, I hope he's listening. Help. Help.
All right. Well, if nobody else had any other crons I wanted to cover that they were
there's also
prepping.
There's also something with Sortie. There's some kind of loop with Sortie.
Oh, dig that! Really? What's that about?
I don't know. I was reading a chat and they were mentioning something about Sortie with TM blowing shit up. I don't know.
I'll pull up the level 9s here real quick.
It might just be like BB8 plus T3 with all the debuffs, right? That might just be it. It might just be a new nuke team, so to speak.
Okay. Sure. All right. We'll see something like that. I mean, there's probably untold, interactions with that long text support that are insane. So that's fair. I guess I want to skip a couple topics ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say. Basically, if you think your opponent, like, this is gonna be one of those week one where it's gonna be like, how did my opponent beat X, Y, and Z with X, Y, A, B, and C on defense? And I don't think this first week it's gonna be really hard to call somebody a cheater. Really, there's just so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Tying in to these datacrons we were preparing for set 16. Let's talk about this set and our expectations for its impact on defense. I think we've done a pretty good job of alluding to that already.
Nothing holds. Go fuck yourself.
Yes. No, go ahead, guys. Take it away.
I honestly think there's going to be something. It's going to be something of a something. I don't know what to call it. Where it's going to be the portion of the kit that you missed, and it's going to do something else, and what you thought you took in was going to mess it up. And I think that's going to be a lot of what we're going to see for week ones. It's going to be that little miss that's really going to be exposed, and then you're going to see that somebody dies. Like, yeah, you tried to take this and got screwed for it.
For sure. I mean, I'm sure we're all excited to see what set 16 can do in 5 versus 5, but I guess a more focused way to interpret that bullet point would be anything that you've been doing as a stalwart with set 15 that you're considering rotating to 16, even though 15 is still with us to the end of this season.
The Cup level 9 with Queen Amidala seems good.
Oh yeah,
better than the Palcron though.
I think if you're trying, Fatal touched on this one of the previous episodes where I think if your opponent's going to use Bane, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know for sure.
I do expect the what's in the back or what's in the box. They've always done it this way, and oops, they did it that. Oh, that doesn't change anything. I can just walk in blindly, and then you get handled because you walked in blindly. Is what I expect to happen a lot.
So you have the incentive to just set up the trap, whether or not it actually succeeds. You already know how they're going to handle the set.
You haven't played that fight yet. I think that's the merit here. Is you're walking in the door. You have Omicrons tied in with a Datacron. You have not fought yet. So there's merit to make you fight a fight you've never fought, right? And that's the same thing we want to talk about. We're talking about the other teams where it's like, yeah, you fought this in, let's say, TW. That you fought this in an arena, but Omicron's active can change your fight along with the Datacron being fought, and you're just not ready for that one piece that catches you off guard, and all of a sudden your team's dead.
I'm really curious to what the buffs on the offense up buffs on basic, long text support, with, like, I don't know, 40 to 50% physical damage can do on a Gungan's team.
It's gonna be nuts, dude.
Okay, yeah. So taking over the set 15 Gungans, I mean that one seems like
I say specifically the buffs on basic and the offense because Booma and Tarples, man, I can imagine them just like actually hurting people. I'm not trying to say they don't do damage. I'm just saying imagine them like actually chunking people while you're trying desperately to kill their Right, like turn it into a burst damage team.
That's what you're calling it, though, right? Is like now
Yeah.
while their team's already disrupting.
Can you turn the Gungans into a burst damage team while you're busy trying to kill their generator?
And it actually happens now because the team is still reacting and doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the RNG, and now you actually have slappers on the team because of how much is being applied.
Yeah, like imagine the offense up buffs with like 40 to 50% physical offense, and then that level 6 and Boss Nass and Jar Jar just turboing out like I don't know. I'm thinking like 80 to 150k like hits just from assists on like tarples.
I mean, this is kind of touching on what leaves me pretty optimistic for what the meta will be like. It certainly in week 1, I think, but we'll see week 2 and week 3. I mean, we all know the natural cadence where like week 1, not people generally don't have all of their counters hammered out, and so you're just going to get some surprises, and there'll be a higher amount of drops, and then kind of like science gets applied. The knowledge of counter spreads, and then it reduces. Set 16 is so coolly multi-dimensional, particularly in 5v5, because like almost every squad that's out there has some like meaningful support, meaningful attacker, meaningful tank element, right? So I think these are all, at least the long text forms of each, are like really pretty strong, and I'm optimistic that you're going to see like one thing that in round 1 of week 1 that you get to squeak by against some particular squad that has an attacker level 6 set 16, that when you go up in round 2 and it's got a support, suddenly blows you out of the water. Like I'm hopeful for that. I'm actually really excited for it. It just feels like there are like just dimensions to the playability here that are unusual for this game. Like maybe I'm just talking out of my ass or just wishfully thinking, but it kind of feels like that might be the case.
No, I think I think it feels like it's a pretty good consensus here and I think it stands out that set 16 is unusually powerful in that I cannot think of another set where we wanted to take so many teams that were great in the previous Datacron set and just remove those crowns, put on the new set instead.
This reminds me of remember the 20% TM up for Dark Side tune?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me a lot of that, where there was so much modularity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's rare. It's a rare setup with
well, and I think
set 16.
What I think also separates this one from everything else is the fact that you can mix the light side, dark side. I know Dagger hated it, and I'm not, and I understand the reason to want to not be happy with it. But the ability to, let's say, put a dark side tank revive on a team, and that changes your whole fight now, and you put just one dark side tank on there. And everything else is light side, but doing that one thing allows that team to survive beyond all recognition. So like putting a Malik on a light side team, and it's got dark side tank revive. And now you have to re-deal with the whole fight and all of the pieces that go with it, right? And it's like, Jesus, this is never going to die. It's just those pieces where it's like, this is something that's brand new for everybody because you can mix and match and then set it up for like support long text on top of this on a dark side tank revive. And those, just the way they can be played out now, there's just not a rhyme or reason to some of the things you can do.
Okay, so Gungans and Queen are definitely favorites to try with set 16 instead of 15 here. Who else?
Honestly, like, I was saying most teams probably benefit. I'd be willing to bet most teams. Like, I'm with Fatal on this. I think it's like, like Inquisitors are probably better with an attacker Kron, or could be.
I can see.
There's also the added benefit, like to Dagger's point, like you kind of go through squad by squad and you kind of theorize like the benefits for each one. I think one of the big practical advantages, like with competitive GAC, is that the set 15 there's .gg data on how to counter all this stuff. And set 16, it's gonna be new, and it's gonna be like, okay, yeah, I know what used to work, but how much has that been disrupted by the mechanics of set 16? So on defense, I feel like almost in every case, Palcron possibly an exception, you're almost better to go with set 16 because it's it's unproven ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're gonna
Well,
bane it
also,
anyway.
also,
Right.
if you look at last set, the biggest part of the last set 15 that we talked about or oohed and ahhed over was the bulk level 3. But if you look at the actual factions and level 9 that it applies to, you find out very quick it's like Galactic Republic, First Order. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. Like Slacker probably wants his level 9. Padme Kron isn't being supplanted. Just or JMK probably has a Kron, but outside of like those few teams that like Tech has a Kron, but like the Bad Batch wants to support long text. Like, and that's kind of what and I mean. It's like a lot of like you can use set 15 to fill in the gaps for teams where it's like a coin flip which set is better. But I think we're gonna find out really quick that I mean I've actually considered taking apart a couple of my set 15s just for the data cache to work on set 16.
Wow. I mean, I guess given what we're talking about,
Whereas I'm exactly where I predicted I would be as soon as set 16 was announced, which is I want more than 30 set 16s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just
I
Yeah.
actually am sad I can't go up to 4. Like I only have like
right.
28 in my inventory, but I leave a spot or two open just to cycle empty datacrons. Yeah, I this set I wish I could have 40 to 45 of them so I could just have options forever.
Well, we also need the space for the teams to actually do that. So get all the teams that can also use them all would be nice as well.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this is going to be the last week before Captain Enoch is in the game. And before we go into his kit, I want to know what you guys think about your expectations for the Imperial Remnant team, the composition and the Kron for week one. So obviously, the last hurrah of DTMG with Night Trooper. Any kind of twists on that based on your testing in 3 versus 3? Any new ideas?
I am thankful that there's a group of people who like Dad Bod Boba, and I'm really happy that Trench and now DTMG will fall into the same category of being relatively useless. So, yeah,
I do not believe DTNG will be useless.
I don't think
I
well, he'll revert to his original state, which is outside the top 25.
but now okay. I think he still holds merit because he loves TM and there are TM teams. He is all
Yeah,
about dealing with that.
I'm
And with
like you. I don't
Scout,
think he's going to be useless. It's going to be
no,
difficult.
I know why
figure
Dagger's
out,
saying it,
though.
and I understand. The
I'm
shiny
happy
new
with him
toys
being
there
relegated.
and all the
Look,
toys.
I'm happy with every triple Omi TW character being relegated to being a situational at best team in GAC.
I don't like you for
I,
that.
We do
I think
not need. We already have how many triple Omi characters for GAC and how many GLs? I am happy when one of these teams falls out of the meta because thank God.
I think he's still strong though. But I know what Dagger's talking about. You only have so many teams to work
I
on it.
mean,
But
cool.
what's cool,
You can beat like GG if they put it on defense, but
I think with the right setup, it's taking out Saw. They love TM.
not if they put Luthen on that bitch. You're gonna get
We're
blown.
not talking about Luther
They're
right
coming
now.
out.
We're
No. We are because Luthen's coming out next week, which is the same time we're talking about that same DTMG team.
yeah, I wouldn't put that against Luther. That's ridiculous. But there's other. But my thing is, there's other GM teams, right?
I know,
Like
I
it's
know,
taking out the
I know.
GGs. It's taking out. It's
Well,
if you put
the point
TM
I'm
on this
making,
shit, it's gonna
the point I'm
hold.
making is that it's going to end up being like Trench, like Tuskins. It's going to have a spot here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess without me trying to be like too jumping on his grave, I like when teams actually fall out of the meta because it feels like it's so rare that they fall out that teams just join the meta and stay, and that's one of the reasons we're in the position we're in.
That's fair.
Like,
DTMG's been a stalwart for some time. I don't hate that
yeah,
opinion.
I guess that's the nice way to put it. It's nice to see some teams cycle out of the meta for once.
Sure. Yeah.
Until we get Remnant Cron's next set, and then we all can go fuck ourselves.
Oh yeah, man. It's gonna be a gross time for everybody. Be prepared for the rapings that will be coming. They will be
It's true.
commencing.
It's going to be wild. That's fair. Any other comments on Imperial Remnant?
I think that most people have Enoch week 3, thankfully. So we'll let the whales figure out how to deal with it. And and those of us who, use the event to 7-star it, we'll have information going into.
Yes. So only if you whale hardcore. Like you're not riding out the event to get your 15 shards a day for the
Right.
last 5 days or whatever. So only if you whale hardcore will you actually have Enoch for week 2, and I will
That's
not
a
be.
lot to build. I probably will.
All right,
I'm
all
excited.
right,
I'm excited. I'm excited. So
all
I've
right.
usually rented out the kit, but having Enoch now and not getting the great mothers or whatever it is right now, dude, this team has already been a lot of fun and super strong out the gate, and it's only gotten stronger each time. Getting to play
Sure.
and see what DTP does with this team. And then one thing I used to love, and one of the most free to play and awesome things is when TIE Fighter Pilot came out. One of the fastest characters, the time when you would get to do the super fast TFP and you were doing that in arena, and then that was blowing out people because it was applying the debuffs because that was the fastest character. Um, this kit of a kit, and then TFP just being a monster and applying buff immunity and just off to the races. I I'm excited for it.
That's a
So
good one.
will
I have to
I?
check his mods. I think back when I was actually unironically using him as a character, it was like speed set potency cross.
You're
Yeah.
going to be doing similar things, but that's what I'm telling you. And it's like
A
it's
little,
back to super speed, and
a
it's
little
cool.
unrelated, but I know Taz and I have mentioned this at least in the past. This has been a pretty cool last couple of months because we're getting a lot of dark side love. This game does not like to do that very frequently. So I'm kind of relishing the fact that we're getting like a bunch of dark side teams all in a row.
Fair, fair.
But yeah, these two new troopers are going to be like TJ mentioned. Like they feel a lot like the Hero Bros,
Oh, so good, man. I'm
where they just play
telling.
together so
I,
ridiculously well.
they are so cool to watch, and it's going to be obvious on defense and watching it and seeing people face it and like, what do I do now? Because this, it's like I didn't account for this coming in, and it's like, oh, I'm not ready. And I'm excited, man. The remnants they made them so good and so strong, and it's cool to see. And I think when Enoch comes into play, I think people are going to be underestimating it, and then
Oh,
when that happens, you watch out because it's like I can't fucking kill Enoch. He won't
I have a
die, and it's
question.
like,
I have a
yes,
question
sir.
specifically for Fable here because he's mentioned this before. How do you feel about the 450 negative crit chance with like 50% CA on this team?
You are asking me to dive in now?
Yeah,
Well,
let's go.
I mean, we're gonna go. Well, we're gonna go into that with going into his kit, right? But like,
Yeah.
I guess. But we still had a couple more things on week 1.
Ooh.
Boo. Well, that's why I was trying to get through it. Mm-hmm.
I'm saving myself for marriage. Go, go, go.
No,
go.
no, no. I appreciate that. All right, all right, all right.
Goddamn,
Well, all right.
virgins, go out and get some ass. It's
We've
fine,
already
man.
combined a couple of these topics wisely, so I think the last one under the week 1 section really is thoughts or plans for Morgan Elsbeth and Night Sisters. Any ideas on novel uses here for just week 1? Cricket.
I know. Well, because I built her, but I don't. I just. It's not
You
like
did
the
the
remnant.
Sasha Isha 350 plus speed build.
I didn't do that hard.
Sasha Isha.
So I went. I looked at Aesop and I looked at a couple others, and I got her to what I thought was a good medium for now. But I'm lukewarm in the water. I know what she's gonna do by facing her and facing truly kitted out teams. I know how powerful she's gonna be, right? And I know I can
Yeah.
see the essence. I can see the writing on the wall that in fives they're gonna be just assholes, and
Can I tell you
that's
what I'm going
great.
to do with her?
Yeah,
Mine's
go
going to be
ahead.
super funny. C. Morgan, Acolyte, +1.
I like that.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that.
She's a
I like
dark
what you're
side
doing.
thing.
You're
Doesn't care
going.
about revives. Acolyte would go into stealth and just sit there and punch
Yep.
you.
I like what you're doing. Yeah, you're doing the
Yep.
cheese again. That was such a pain in the ass.
Yep.
Okay.
If
Yep.
Acolyte got to go into stealth, you couldn't fucking kill it. So I know
Yep.
exactly what you're doing, you piece of shit. I love it.
Yep. That's
you
basically
son
what
of a
I'm.
bitch,
That's
I'm
basically what I'm
in.
doing with her.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
that, doing the cheesy shit that's like, fuck, I can't kill her now because she just got the chance to
It
go.
also frees up set and like armor to go other places because the tank crons and the support crons.
And I'm telling you, that's one thing I did do. Her armor, she's at 75% right now. Like her armor, and she's actually thick. Fighting her, I've seen it, and fought her against her, and it's like this lady just does not die, and she's not even getting all of the benefits. So I see what Dagger is doing. She is much stronger than people understand, and when we get the full picture, I think
Mine
people.
is
Yeah, because I don't feel like it's a
I like her.
defense team this week.
yeah.
So
I would say mine is 257. I'm R7, 257, 150k prot, 75k armor.
All right, I'm gonna top you. I'm at 305 speed, 75k, 150 prot because it's like I looked at, like I said, I looked at Ace
Where you at?
Brothers.
What relic are you at?
7.
Okay. Yeah, I just have like 6. I have 5 dot defense mods on this bitch.
Okay, that's why. I had
she is,
a good protection arrow, so I had a good protection arrow that had like 25 speed. That was a
I basically
defense.
just
So
put
it's like,
leftover mods on her because she's just a C tank to go with Acolyte.
I think it's a great call. But she's easy to get these stats on, and it's nice because she's so fast.
Until we get the 3 sisters into the game, the old women. Until we get them into the game, I am not inclined to put a lot of effort into modding her because I know she looks. I know speed seems good on her now, but what happens when she comes out and you want her slow as shit?
It's a lot of tear up to commit that kind of speed for me to make her like 350 plus. So I see why Sasha was getting some mileage out of that in the last 3 versus 3 season. I'm for the reason you just mentioned, I'm not gonna make the commit just yet.
Yeah. So. I will when the time comes.
I think what's cool is even with what Dagger has on her, she still has merit to be used. Even at the R7, you see the potential if you ever get to face her or you get to use her.
That's
and so it's everything past R7 for Ahsoka requirements because I think they're going to have another R9 or a couple more R8s required for her. So I want to make sure that I have everything ready for her so I can get her as close to day 1 as possible.
I don't know. The Remnant Bros got R8s to be because those monsters are amazing. So they deserve all the love.
Me too, but I'm still talking about Night Sisters.
I can't do it. I think she'll be R9 worthy. So I'm calling it now. I fully expect that.
I want to see more requirements for Ahsoka before I sink in R9. I only have one in the bank.
I think that is a completely fair assessment. But I think when we're coming back to this time, and I would even say like next 5s, it'll be tasked. Hey, how's your R9 on your Morgan Elsbeth? Oh, she's doing amazing because that's why because she's so she has utility that we don't get to see.
Well, you know what? When Tash buys me those R9 packs, I'll R9 her. How about that?
That's good gifting.
Oh yeah, that's good gifting. And you know it's just around the corner, Dagger. Check is in the mail anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys.
YouTube money. Gotta spend that YouTube money you're earning so I can get me some R9.
That's right. My mega millions. Yes. Yes. Guys, last call for week 1 topics. We're doing great on time, so anything else you had on top of mind that you're really looking forward to week 1?
Well, I was trying to keep it a little briefer so you get to the Enoch kit.
Yes, that's again.
I'm ready to marry Fatal. I'm done with dating Fatal.
I'm ready to last 3.5 seconds in that honeymoon suite. Let's go.
Those teeth, man, just chomping at the bit. Nothing left of them. All right. All right. Well, since we're gonna spend so much time on it, let's knock out Luthen real quick here, talking about week 2. All right, this is getting into the speculation section. So we'll be. This is the last week of this final run of Conquest to unlock Luthen, right? Sorry.
Yeah. Do you want to remind everybody about roughly what his kit does?
90% free.
Great. That seems like an organic enough way for me to remind myself about what his kit does.
That's what I was saying. What did you say,
He gives his team 90% free tenacity. But that's about all you need to know.
Yeah.
Well, he also has a summonable
a trooper on spawn, right? Yeah, he makes a trooper on spawn.
Yes. A badass trooper, not like your grandma's trooper, like an actual real dick kicker.
Yeah, I think
here's what I'll say for Luthen. Is I think his fate is ultimately going to be on offense with Mama. I will be using him with Saul on defense, but I don't think he will extend their reach beyond just trying to be a banner attacks team. I would like to be wrong, and I will be. Listen. I made some choices over the course of this year that led me to a point where I put together my Saw team in a squad loadout for some... I don't even know why I did this. But I did it, and realized, why are 4 out of 5 of these characters relic 9?
I don't like you already.
Yeah, I didn't feel right. I think the default was going to be put this on defense with Saw week 1. But when I initially read his kit, my first thoughts were, man, this is the 5th that Mon Mothma never had in a...
Yes. This is like the one. It's not gonna happen. But they printed Dark DTMG. Like we know it's not going to happen. But this is the tool that I needed to exist when Kyle Katarn got released, and I wanted to post Mon Mothma on defense because Jawas existed.
I can see your point on that. I can see your point on
Yeah.
it. And Luther is going to be such an annoying prick. That is the
You will not
TLDR
land
of what he's
shit
going
on this team, by the way. You will not land absolutely fucking anything on this team.
They already have so many Rebel Fighter pieces, cracks, and just there's I'm just oof.
This is just straight up turn meter brute force at this point. This is like
Oof.
Isle Scout Pal Luthen. Hit auto, walk away from phone.
Oh look, it's another support to add to your team. On
Yeah,
a support
Saw
team that's
Gerrera.
already doing monsters.
Saw Gerrera was already kind of a prototype Gungan team, I would say. It was like CG's first stab in this direction.
I can see that. I can see that.
You have a set play team where they're trying, like, okay, we have a premise and we're trying to do something to you, but then once you get past it, we kind of aren't shit. And this feels like Luthen trying to escalate that Saw set play to a more Gungan tier level, right? Where he, all of a sudden he's saying, okay, we're still trying to throw a Saw bomb at you. And I'm saying this, like, ignore Set 16, right? Like, obviously, yes, crazy synergy.
Yeah.
But Set 16 isn't really synergetic. It's just a Set 16. You're making debuffs that you're attacking. I'm talking Luthen Saw. Fundamentally, what this is doing is giving you extra tools for trying to limit what your opponent can try to do to interact with your set play, right? You get a bit of extra crit damage so that you can try to put out more threat early if they try to go undersized, maybe. You put out more tenacity, that you have more creative control in a lot of ways to try to limit what they're able to do to you. But fundamentally, the game plan is still the same. And to some degree, I still... Right, you look at the list of Rebel Fighters, and I think this team can have a long future in terms of, I would imagine we will see more Rebel Fighters. But you look at the current roster, and I mean, I'm looking at SOH.GG right now. There's 20 names on this roster, and a lot of them are very old. That
I would say they just confirmed Andor season 2 is confirmed to be in the works, and they're heavy moving into it. So you can best believe. I don't know if it's going to be another conquest unit, but you can best believe that we're not done with the faction that's already got utility in areas, and they're going to keep adding those just little flavors. They're going to keep making it much more and more dangerous. It's the same thing. Like look at what they did with Inquisitors and how they did it. Where it's whatever, and then Reva came in and just blew the game up. Right? It's like they put out Saw. Saw had pieces. I love Fatal's idea. I think Fatal called it out as a great point, in saying they were Gungan-esque. Right, and it's like, here, let me add some more flavor to it now, and you get to deal with this, add it in.
Yeah, they're kind of like just a front loaded. This is what we got. If you can recover in time, I guess we lose.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Luthen tweaks the rules a little bit. I want to call out specifically because I think a lot of people just saw the clause and gave up immediately. Luthen, yes, he sabotages the decoy that he makes under Saw, but it's only the health pool, I want to say, that you still keep the protection pool. So, like, in fact, like, it's actually kind of an anti-percent health. Like, yes, obviously having health is, like, generally better for a tank, but still, like, probably mod Luthen for protection. I think it's not as good of inheritance as Amidala has, but it's still, like, it's like 75% or 50%. It's decent enough that, like, I do think it's potentially worth leaning in on that heavy protection. Listen, I'm probably about to shoot myself in the foot.
I'm gonna ask you the question. I would especially ask you, Fatal. Are you going to build it to where he can flex either way, or are you going to build it specifically towards the Saw team, or are you going to build it that it's going to can work in Saw, but it's more built for your alignment to Mon Mothma?
Yeah,
I know you're also. I know you're
like?
prominent.
Yeah.
For you, Fatal, for you, because I know your prominence in using and trying to make Mon Mothma do the kill the Ray things, right? You've also done other things with Mon Mothma, so. My question is towards you because you have a great mind for what you're trying to accomplish.
When Mon Mothma works on offense, her greatest enemy is herself. That Thermal Scout can't shut the faucet off once it's on. So you would almost have to be. I don't know if like Drogon can generate turn meter because I know he has that Omicron unique, but I
Yeah.
don't remember if that works for my Mothma specifically.
No, because it needs to have a rebel fighter leader.
Right,
She's
she's
not a
not
rebel
Rebel
fighter.
Fighter. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that seems the most Mon Mothma tilted when I look at Luthen is it's the frenzy setup. It's the ability to really just do some of the most fuckery in terms of turn order optimization that I think CG has ever allowed in terms of like, no, we are comboing. No, we are bouncing characters off of each other and like looking for exploits and setups that it's a little bit of a shame in my opinion that Mon Mothma has it, but if I'm being honest, like the AI would probably waste it anyway. And like yes, I do think that like if I'm running Luthen my way, like I'm taking him to Relic 9, I'm shooting myself in the foot right now because I don't have any characters named Ahsoka at Relic 9, but like I don't know, what do I
Really?
sacrifice?
Relic 9, and what kind of mod spec you thinking to start with?
Well, I'm just treating it kind of like Amidala. Is like, okay, if I'm giving this team my vote of confidence, I'm putting my best foot forward, and so I'm going right. This is a character that shares our stats to the. I keep on wanting to call it decoy. Can we? I don't know.
To the rebel
I
trooper.
think
The
you're.
trooper. The trooper.
But people know when you talk about it. It technically is a decoy.
Honestly,
Yeah.
and Fatal can correct me if I'm way out base here. My initial thought was just like a fast offense set with a couple protection primaries.
I don't know if I'm going offense. I'm probably going like I'm going probably high speed with protection, defense, and offense. Yeah,
Okay.
just kind of like a fast gas direction.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. All right. I was thinking more like fast offense just to give the most gains to the summon rebel trooper since he looks like he really kicks. But yeah, going just for pure speed, I can see that absolutely.
I mean,
Good
whether
discussion.
or not he kicks is going to be kind of the litmus test for the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Also,
yeah, I
keep
mean,
in mind the team generates so much TM that I'm not 100% sure how much the offense actually matters. If it's specifically with Mon Mothma.
when you look at the Rebel Fighter list, you really need to ask yourself what you want the team to be and what you want the expendable character to be, because I think that there's a world right now where I guess hey, we talked about CLS earlier, and this game plan kind of fell off, and we almost see this Luthen decoy in conversation with it. Is I think you build Saul Luthen possibly as just like you don't go tank, and I think you possibly just run the expendable decoy, and I think you just go full squishy again. Right? It's a race. If they make it through the opening salvo anyway, you're gonna lose. Like you're
Yeah.
that's kind of just it. So right, you look at the recent releases, you look at characters like Captain Rex, who has already overperformed with Saw Gerrera in 33 of the past.
Oh yeah.
We I have nightmares about that team. I'm assuming we all do. We have
Oh
experienced.
man, dude. Yeah.
That's a
Pre-church,
good one.
post-church, dude. Crex under that monster is double the nightmare.
Right, so they
I will say to Phelo's point, the people that set the Kara Bays like SRP team, that team does nothing. Like that's the thing I like about Saw sometimes is they'll think that let me just throw all my extra tanks here that I don't use, and then like you can walk over it with something like Mon Mothma.
It's got to be methodical in the approach, because if you're
Yeah,
using it correctly, there's
I'm
things you
thinking
do. So it's
like
like, yeah, I see. I see what Fatal's
Isle
doing.
Star Luthen, and then
You
maybe
can't
Kara as a
discount
diff.
you can't discount the heals and the way it's taking away your health. You're getting hurt while the team is going, and so that's continuing to happen. And then you loop around, and all of a sudden your team is back full health protection and going again. That is a
Would you
scary proposition.
would you use the fifth? Because my initial thought went to Kara. I know she's a tank, but she has the TMR bomb.
well, I think you go one of two ways. So control game plan, I think, is a harder and harder bargain to like. If you look at the meta and you're like, oh, that team is like way exposed, then I'm switching over to it. Then sure, but I don't know that I default to assuming that a team is going to be capable of that. So like, I joked about this in my Discord server. Is like the true essence of theory crafting now is just slapping as many omicrons together as possible. So like, Yeah, just slapping Rex and Drogon and all this other stuff. And like, yeah, sure. This is the strongest possible team, is it not? I don't think it's
Yeah.
that necessarily, but I do think again because so much of the roster is so outdated right now that I do think
Dude,
we almost ended this that
I
weird
could
kind
even
of
imagine the amount of damage that pops off with that, and then you add in Drogon, and
Especially since Leia doesn't really need I need Drogon right now for what she's doing.
that was kind of my thought too. Is like
Hmm.
Leia's not doing anything on defense. I
And if
really
you save
don't
her for
think.
offense, the tank cron just carries the whole team.
Yes, and so within that respect, it's like I don't think it's that sharp of a sell to be like, oh, just take Rex and Drogon right now.
Hmm.
But it's still right. Like I don't. That doesn't grab me. It's not winning me. Like right, it doesn't feel like there's a spark there, and so that's really kind of where I'm at with the Rebel Fighter faction as a whole. Is it's a cool package. It feels like you're really kind of reaching out to your opponent in some ways and like attacking them directly and trying to interact with them directly.
Hmm.
But they have this bugbear on their back of these 2018, 2017 characters, and you in many ways, this is the quintessential Rogue One team. You are a doomed mission with some raggedy tools.
Uh,
Very fair. Very fair.
yeah, Tassel say can attest to this too. I was a late adopter to the Saw Omi,
Yes.
and I haven't gotten as much use out because the problem was is like I'd fight against Saw and it wasn't like scary. And then when I finally did it back when like Saw had whatever his cron was, I'm like, oh yeah, time to do it.
Hmm.
And ever since then, it's like it's filler. Like in like you were saying, if I was able to upgrade that from filler to be an actual question mark, like an actual question to ask my opponent, like, do you have an answer? And that would be a meaningful answer, right? Not a, all right, cool, I'll just like whatever. But yeah, now that we're moving more towards like a cheese meta, it's like they'll have Treya and like GG
Yep.
Snap available. And I'm just like, all right, cool. I guess you
Yep.
just run this the fuck over.
I'm glad you said it, Nami, because I'm really doing my best to not be a wet blanket tonight. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of cursed to
yeah,
be like, man, I'm glad we're doing this character, and I know exactly how to beat it off the rip. It's not going to be
Yeah.
hard or expensive.
yeah.
So
And that's kind of what I mean is like I'm probably less pessimistic than you are, hopefully. But yeah, it's I'm not looking forward to the setting like 1 to 2 GLs and just being forced to out efficiency my opponent on dumb shit.
hmm.
The
So
thing that I keep
no,
sorry,
please go. No, please go
one
ahead.
last sentence. The thing I keep coming back to is I think a lot of these teams are cool, and it's the place that they end up landing in is not their fault. It is a meta problem.
oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
you,
no,
you
100%
called it
agree.
because Fatal doesn't want to meet doesn't isn't willing to avoid Wall. Fatal will meet Wall head on. So to be fair to Fatal, where some of us will just adjust and do whatever we have to do and then complain about it, Fatal will not adjust and will meet Wall. So he'll meet the other end of what it's gonna be. So I understand Fatal sentiment. Where I also understand where Fatal had more fun in threes because it was you could get out risky, right? You could actually throw them out and then you just drain them out of the resources. They got nothing left to do it. In fives, especially with the new sets, it makes it tougher to do. So I understand Fatal sentiment on it.
So the summary though on Luthen then is we're gonna end up setting him on defense with Saw at first to intensify it and see what it draws. It's I don't know if any of you had any kind of insight as to what you think it would prevent. That's already a known and solid Saw counter, but barring any such ideas off the top of the head, you're willing to gamble it, and then if you're unimpressed, you're gonna pivot it to offense. I wonder if you guys did have any thought about what you might be able to do with Mon Mothma and Luthen that you weren't able to do before.
I think that loop is going to be bananas, and I think it'll kill higher than people are going to anticipate. But I also
So
want to
who's higher
say,
than people are going to anticipate though? That's the real question. What
I
is
that's
the
I
actual punch up?
what when you can loop.
If I may, the
Please.
problem that Saul is going to run into, that he continues to run into, that will always run into, is that DTMG is going to curb stomp the fuck out of it every time it looks at it.
Hmm.
GG Snap is going to curb stomp the fuck out of it every time it looks at it. Right? Like, there are too many teams that are just like Fatal said, it's not Saw's fault that he's an old team, but it's a turn meter. It's an upfront turn meter team. So any team that has any bulk plus regeneration or anti TM mechanics are just gonna walk over it.
I am excited to see it with combination of set 16. I
Sure,
know we're
sure.
talking about the team, but it's like for right now, set 16 is still the money. And what I've seen, what Kyle has been able to do with this, and now you're giving another moniker to this. All these teams, and I'm putting air quotes, that are working on Saw. I am not 100% that is still going to do that.
To actually answer Tess's question, I guess I'm gonna put it on defense week 1 to make my opponent beat it,
Sure.
and then
Yeah,
once
just
everyone
check
knows,
the data. Yeah, just see what
because
happens.
I know what beats it, and I'm gonna make my opponent beat it.
Mhm.
And if my opponent week 2, my opponents are going to know what beats it, so I'm just not gonna. So week 2 when we get it right, and then week 3, I'm just gonna pull it because after everyone else knows how to beat it, like why would I set it?
Okay, I think that's pretty smart strategically.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I stake the bet to start, but to kind of close my thoughts on it, I think the ultimate fate of Mon Mothma Luthen is going to be to legitimize Mon Mothma as a more legitimate tool in your tool belt, as long as you're willing to leave the, I'm going to say the mod homework or the mod debt on those characters, because right, Rebels had this weird ongoing thing of the stat share and then starting tenacity, right? You have it with Akbar related Chupio and Cassian and all of these different sources, and this is exactly what uh Luthen is offering to Mon Mothma, because you'll get that 90% starting tenacity. I don't remember the unique and lead order, but I assume it's a unique on.
Unique first, then lead.
Right, but I'm
Yes,
saying
that's
like
right.
it's Mon Mothma lead that does it, right? The stat share.
The stat share, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so that 90% tenacity should go straight to the dome and they get reshared out to be.
Yes.
Right. So as long as you're willing to leave those mods on those characters, I think you'll have a more legitimate team than before that is able to carry more weight than before, and maybe complete some fights or opportunistically work on some C's or B's, or if your opponent happens to post some GLs on accident, maybe even some A's. But we're still kind of in this weird phase for them where the tool sets isn't much beyond. You have a little bit of control for rebel fighters, you have a little bit of damage for rebel fighters, but I think we're in an age of tools, right? We have anti-turn meter tools, we have anti-crit tools, and when your tool set is this generalized, I think part of where Tass's question comes from is when you think of a team you need to beat, you tend to think towards a specialized tool more than a generic one. And so I think Mon Mothma's fate is going to be a bit more enthusiast. If you enjoy the team, you can probably put some elbow grease in and probably do some pretty cool stuff with it. And
It'll be pretty much
enjoy
any
your
team
time with
without
it.
significant reaction.
Yes. But then
So probably not a lot of new matchups that you wouldn't otherwise have tried, but instead of what was once aspirational can become more reliable.
No, this should curb stomp GG.
GG. Oh yeah, that would actually be quite a. I mean, it would take some time to overwhelm that tenacity.
The tenacity would resist the first line of target lock.
Right. Yeah, you would overwhelm them before they'd be able to start scaling and styling on you.
As long as you were able to kill. This goes back to the offense question. As long as you're able to kill Stap in a reasonable time frame, i.e., like 2 turns. Because getting him going is a problem because he'll heal the whole team.
CG
It's also one that. No, I was just going to say. I mean, I would suspect that Luthen's one that it'll be introduced with its own datacron coming out. Something that will, like everything that you've touched on, I think is spot on, Fatal, with the like high potential, but perhaps some kind of inherent limitations on defense. But with the Datacron set rolling out, I'm guessing there's just going to be a ton of enthusiasm for whatever it is they put in front of Luthen, which is going to be something that just kind of unnaturally elevates it for a period. And hopefully that's enough then to get people to make both the relic investments, possibly some modding, like maybe it's so strong that people can afford to be lazy and they don't invest. But I'm hoping that gets more energy behind it in the community too.
If you this has legs versus, so I'm just kind of looking through his kit and I'm kind of like trying to force myself to kind of remember the Mon Mothma team. This team might actually have legs versus things like Reva or Seer.
Yeah. What inclines you towards that?
If you can daze Seventh Sister, they don't really Inquisitors don't really have any reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like are able to fit Saw somewhere, so if you're able not Saw, if you're able to fit Krex in instead of Kyle and go and eat the AOE ability block, if you make sure that like who would have to be the weakest? Scout? If you make sure Scout's the weakest, Mon Mothma cleanses him. Then he does his thing to give himself TM, cleanses somebody else. You might be able to get out of the gates.
Okay.
I'm just kind of looking at some of the teams that don't have a lot of reactivity to them,
Mm-hmm.
and what can you do to like kind of punch through. And depending on how hard they hit, how hard Luthen makes them hit, how hard the summon hits, there's a reasonable chance you can power through one of, like, get through Malicos fast enough. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe even no, Gungans doesn't work because Jar Jar's there.
AG has been pretty good this year about printing deceptive kits. I think Jabba's within range.
Yeah.
You have that much tenacity to contest that. You have Frenzy as a way to cheat off.
Rex there to
Gouges.
days, just to make sure they can't gain the reactive TM.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you can utterly shut down Jabba.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that, but that goes back to what Fatal was saying of jamming another Gakomi on that team, right? Like,
Well,
this is the other problem with Mon Mothma, right? Sorry, I'm talking a lot about Mon Mothma.
No. You're good. You're good. Keep going.
The other issue with this team is it's such a leap of faith team. She was kind of the beginning of this era of CG wanting to encourage relics, and so they gave her one of the harshest, which is this like what is it, 8% per ally. So instead of like CLS Chupio, it's like, oh, if you give relic 8 or relic whatever to CLS, then you shall be rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, this is just a total leap of faith of like, no, it's got to be the entire team. You need to be worried about Mon Mothma's offense, and she's not. She's a pacifist, right?
would you say that this team was built on hope?
It's built on cope at this point, but we'll see.
Rebellions are built on cope. That's fantastic.
But yeah, I'm a Mon Mothma truther. Like way back in the day, I've loved Mon Mothma. The team is just so fun and so interesting, so modular. No, I'm happy it might be good again.
That's
one of those.
No, this is why I think I keep going back to this enthusiast tag is because it's a leap of faith. You really just need to like jump the relics and the mods and the everything behind your Kyle guitar. Like your whole team is modding for offense and just like I don't know, I'm still on Dragon Ball Z, but like you're just setting up the spirit bomb and like, yeah, go do it. I hope you have enough damage.
But it's true though.
Yeah, I am one of those people I literally just favorited Scout. He's going to R8.
I've seen what it did in 3s, so to imagine what Kyle's going to do in 5s with more power behind him, I think Spirit Bomb was the perfect anticipation for what you said, Fatal. Dude, it's going to like, your people will just disappear. And it's like, well, I thought I brought 5. Well, there's 4. Well, there's 3. Well, and he's just ramping because he loves it all. So I think Spirit Bomb was a great call out.
Great.
Yeah.
But
I think you're right, Fatal. I'm excited for it because I like the team, and my Mon Mothma team still has really good mods to this day. All R7.
So do I.
Like you said, just because it's like, take them to R7 because they don't do shit at R5.
Mm-hmm.
So
my last Luthen-related question, though, Fatal, you mentioned, turn order. Where does he fit? How do you see him being? I guess either with Saw or Mon Mothma, depending on how you think it differs.
I honestly don't even know if the team really seems all that turn order dependent.
Oh,
I mean, obviously, if you're talking about set 16, then
I mean, in general, I just thought you made like a throwaway comment earlier about thinking about his turn order and everything, and I was like, oh, is there something to that?
Well, the turn order call was specifically, unfortunately, for the Mon Mothma side of the kit. That is where CG gives you juice budget. Really, for Saw Gerrera, it is much more brute forcey. Just I'm giving you stats, I'm giving you protection, I'm giving you tools, I'm letting you try to run it back, but just a little bit harder and a little bit more confidently. That yeah, Mon Mothma really inherits, I think, a lot more of the finesse side of things in terms of execution.
And if
That
you're
like,
having him with Mon Mothma, where do you need him to be, like turn order wise? Like who's ahead of him, or is he number one, or what's going on?
well, that's kind of the beauty of the character is I don't know that ability really is going to reward you for doing some engineering, and I have not done that work.
Okay,
But,
okay,
like,
yeah. I thought I'd ask.
Really quick, I just want to remind everybody kind of what Luthen does. His basic with Mon Mothma will dispel all buffs on an opponent, and he will call the rebel commander to attack. This works out of turn as well. So the rebel commander will attack twice.
I think
He
this
also
is the
gains-
whole point.
Yeah, well, hold on. He also gains 25 speed every time he uses his basic on his turn, and on his turn, his targets get their defense reduced by 30%.
So I want to call this out. Why I think it's cool. All we've seen and everything that's come up has been with him with Saw. So that's why I said when even the fatals and the people's like we don't know what it's going to look like. I think CG's done this very purposely to set this up to say yeah we see what we can do with Saw and he's a pain in the ass etc. They're not giving us anything on what it's going to look like under the Mon Mothma and how that looks.
But here's the part that's super interesting about his kit. His special. What do I sacrifice to Omicron? Not the Omicron part, but the Mon Mothma. If the rebel commander is already present, the rebel commander gains 50% health and protection, recovers, and he gives out frenzy for 2 turns.
Target rebel ally gains frenzy for 2 turns.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the Omicron is if the commander is already present, you crit chance, crit damage up, and then Mon Mothma and all other rebel fighters gain 30% offense stacking and are immune to turn meter reduction until the end of their next turn. Target rebel fighter ignores taunt until the end of their next turn. That right there is, I think, what Fatal was talking about with the Jabba. That's probably the lights out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, that does
so
seem
much
pretty
for
absurd.
finesse.
Yeah, I think that's the lights out right there. He also has no me on his, I think, but yeah, that the basic and special are where the power comes from in his kit, in my opinion. The unique Omi is what? Hold on.
No, I got it up on screen if you guys are still seeing.
Yeah, if there are no Rebel Galactic Legend allies at the start of the battle, Mon Mothma and Rebel Fighter allies gain 30% max health, mastery, and 20 speed, and they gain bonus protection 50% for 1 turn. The first time the Rebel Commander is defeated in each battle, summon a Rebel Trooper and promote them to Rebel Commander.
That's great. Yeah, so you can quickly knock out the first one. It's like, okay, good. Now that I got that out of the way, it's like, well, Billy Mays here hits you.
Well,
with
wait,
there's more.
And this isn't 1999.
But he's still gonna ShamWow you.
Yeah, sorry, that was a really bad joke. Sorry.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, you had to be there. It's a little dated.
Yeah.
All right. Any other
Boss Ass level 9?
Boston ass level 9?
Yeah, it's the re-up. It's no, you saw this. Yeah. Let me stay around a little bit longer.
All right, guys. Any other comments? Anything else you guys wanted to say here on Luthen?
Even though the Rebels were the bad guys in the original trilogy, long live the Mon Mothma team.
Very fair. Yes, Luthen is a very sympathetic character. So I like
Yes.
him. All right, guys. That brings us to the main agenda. Here, as we were preparing for today's show, they released the kit for Captain Enoch. So those of us who've been preparing our, Death Trooper Peridia, our Night Trooper, having all this set up, this is what we've been waiting for to really understand. I think let's go ahead and take a look at the kit here and then share some thoughts. So we'll start off with the basic. Actually, you know what? When I'm doing my mod guide videos, I usually like to cover the leadership first and then the uniques. So I think that's a good way to look at the basic and specials through the lens of that. So we'll start off here. Leadership, Arbiter of Decay. It's a Zeta, so non-Omicron ability. Final text, Imperial Remnant allies have plus 50% critical avoidance, plus 75% potency, and plus 15 speed. At the start of battle, if all allies are Imperial Remnant and no other allies are Empire with the leader tag, whenever another non-droid Imperial Remnant ally would be reduced to 1% health from a non-critical hit. If they have less than 9 stacks of decay, they recover 100% of their health and protection, and gain a stack of decay, max 9, until the end of battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Non-droid Imperial Remnant allies are immune to healing immunity. Yeah, so this Decay Blight thing's really cool with this leadership. During his turn, whenever he uses Die Well, his basic, if an Imperial Remnant ally has less than 3 stacks of decay and less than 50% health, he deals true damage to them equal to 100% of their max health, which can't be evaded. We'll understand a little bit more about that in a second. Allies with Decay have plus 50% critical avoidance and tenacity and plus 150% max health. And whenever Imperial Remnant ally gains a stack of decay, they taunt for 1 turn, and Imperial Remnant tank allies taunt for 1 turn. Wow. Okay, so that's a lot. That is a huge.
That's not even. I promise you.
This actually makes me think 5 attackers. This makes me think Stormtrooper's not even on the team.
I'm telling you, you're wrong, and I'm gonna keep telling people this, and they keep telling me it's like a pre-taunting Stormtrooper. Okay, people
This
don't.
clause at the end makes me think.
Right.
Just this clause, we can talk about the kit and the rest of the kit
Yeah.
in a little bit. But yeah, because they taunt when they die and get decay, it does keep, like, the entire point of his entire kit is keeping this dude alive as long as possible.
Absolutely.
He's already doing that without Stormtrooper. So if you can have more damage, I think that looks better according to his leadership.
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you clearly. You said who are we trying to keep alive as long as possible?
You're keeping
Enoch.
him. You have to
Enoch
keep
himself. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to keep Enoch alive as long as possible.
But,
And maybe Stormtrooper is on the team, maybe he's not. But yeah, this part right here where it says that when they gain a stack of decay, they taunt for 1 turn. That's they're gonna be dying a lot.
Yeah.
Plus, like, Stormtrooper's taunt is not sticky at all. So like having him there is just kind of like
But he doesn't matter. Who you're putting in as the 5th is fine. Is because you would put. I'm assuming you would want to put Death Trooper. You're not putting Dark. So you're putting Death Trooper as a 1, which is fine. But to me, he's on the D team, G team. Having your Scout. See, Scout. No, Scout is too strong with DTMG. I guess you wanted to, but it's like to me.
Again, we already talked about this. DTMG is not a team once Enoch comes. Enoch is the number 1 team, so you put the best characters on the board.
I don't think it's Scout. I think Storm is a pre-taunt. So you try and get in front of him, you can't now. You have to deal with this, or you have to bypass that. Yes,
So
you're
you
going to
got
bounce around taunt.
Enoch, Knight, DTP, and you're saying Storm, and who's the 5th?
And TIE Fighter pilot. It is 100% TIE Fighter pilot is going on this team. But he's back to blazing fast.
Meat's back on the menu, boys. I like that.
Yeah. If you just read Scout's kit, Scout fits on this team so absurdly well.
I could see that. Yeah.
I can see why, but
everything about Scout's kit screams he wants to be on this team. All of his abilities work really well with Peridia Trooper and Night Trooper, and maybe TFP's not on the team. Who knows? My point is I think that there's not really, at least for me, and with my initial look at this kit and the initial look at this unique, it's like, man, I find it really hard to leave Scout off the team, man. He is so fucking.
I could easily see it, and the only reason I say that is playing with the team. If anybody's played with Storm, they know how powerful he is. He is going to literally apply exposes or give defense up on a team already taking defense. So now you're getting defense up. The dude is thick as hell, and the one problem we always have with Storm is that he didn't taunt. You had to reactively set it up. We are now getting him to openly start the fight with the taunt, and then you're going to bounce the taunting around. It's already taking effect, so you can't start the fight in front of anybody, because even if you try that, I've got Storm right there to block your way.
We can get to the rest of the kit, but Stormtrooper doesn't seem necessary because it seems like this is more of a we're going to fuck you up as fast as possible team, and Stormtrooper doesn't do that.
Sure. All right. This last part of the leadership, it does define decay here. So we've had Blight, since we had Night Trooper, but decay is defined as minus 10% health limit per stack. Can't health steal. All right. Let's dig into the unique here. Ominous Sentinel, Zeta, and Omicron. Final text. Captain Enoch gains 75% defense for each other active Imperial Remnant ally. Whenever an Imperial Remnant ally gains a stack of decay, they inflict blight on all enemies, which can't be copied, dispelled, or evaded until the end of the encounter. So that does imply it can be resisted, though. Enemies, excluding Galactic Legends, have minus 450% crit chance. So if you aren't coming with vulnerable against them, or if you yourself are not having advantage, best of luck with all that.
Advantage is only plus 100% crit chance.
Oh, it's only
dude,
plus
no.
100. That's the way it breaks
got
down the
it.
code.
Oh,
Yeah.
they've taken into account for you don't get to play the advantage game here.
Okay,
They're
vulnerable or piss off. Yeah. All right, at the start of each Imperial Remnant ally's turn, dispel advantage from all enemies. Okay, yes, very next line. Okay, good. And those enemies lose 25% offense for 2 turns while in territory battles. So I think this is where the Omicron comes in.
I will say this. If this team doesn't beat Zori with that clause right there, I'm going to be very unhappy.
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I think it's taking us so much more than that, but I understand
Yeah,
why you're
I
saying
don't know.
that.
I'm just saying that
I
clause
know
right there
you're
is
setting
like,
the bar. I know what you're doing.
that clause right there is just Zori can go fuck herself.
That's
Now,
right.
it's so many more things, man.
Yeah.
So many more teams.
For sure.
It's literally why I'm waiting for Fatal to say "fuck I do" on the goddamn marriage part, because it's like the buy-in of what this team is doing and how they're setting it off is amazing, and the way they're playing with the game. It is all the pieces where Fatal has called it out, and I have to keep calling this because he talked about the crit chance, the crit damage, and we are now playing with the food and what it's going to offset, and why I think the team. I will secede that yes, Scout belongs on the team, but I think people are going to underestimate how good Storm is. Brock at the time got me to be a Scout, a Storm Trooper, because I've seen what he can do, and then also applying Expose that added in is going to. Seeing that this team is so strong that yes, Scout is amazing, but it's like the brothers are going to delete
I don't think Storm's
teams.
bad. I'm just saying, like, I reread Scout's kit just like a couple minutes ago to make sure, and yeah, everything he does is just like screams, I want to be with these 2 damage dealers.
I can, because
Well,
I
why
think you have
don't you
2
guys
separate
haggle
teams.
over the details of the comp once we've seen the full kit? There might yet be
Go ahead.
something else that bends either way, but let's.
You can skip the TV Omicron part.
Yeah, I was actually. I had no plans of reading it.
It's man.
Yeah, well, the answer is I won't be doing it. So yeah,
It's because Enoch's Omi is not on him. That's the point here. Is
For
that
Grand Arena,
his
yeah.
application? It's not for TW and it's not for GAC. That's on other characters. But when
Right.
you apply this shit, you are screwed.
All right. Well, let's go ahead now and cover his basic Die Well. Final text: deal physical damage to target enemy and remove 5% of their turn meter. If the target has blight, deal damage again. During Captain Enoch's turn, if target enemy has blight, Imperial Remnant allies gain critical damage up for 1 turn and reduce the cooldown of Last Command by 1. All right. And then, what is it? Yeah, his only other special here. Last Command. 3-round cooldown. Okay. Yeah, they made the specific call out about the art of this. This looks pretty cool here. Let me see it animate one more time. Yeah, with the Thrawn hologram.
Get the nod, boy. Get that nod in
Man,
there.
I gotta tell you, like, artistically and with how they're capturing kits, like capturing the theme of these characters in the kits, it's been a banger of a year, man. The game's looking great. All right, so final text. Dispel all debuffs on all Imperial Remnant allies, and they gain protection up 60% for 2 turns and 20% turn meter, and all enemies with blight lose 5% turn meter. Allies with decay gain critical avoidance up for 2 turns. Call another random ally with decay to assist, dealing 40% less damage. If all allies were Imperial Remnant at the start of the battle, attackers gain advantage for 1 turn.
This is the ability that also made me think that they don't actually need a dedicated tank. Because this entire dude's kit is all about making your team kick the shit out of them repeatedly. And I'm not saying Storm isn't on the team, it's just I don't see how Scout isn't. especially when you put his whole.
I
Well,
just
the
because I
reason to
can-
have the tank then is ultimately to help somehow preserve Enoch, right? You're thinking that.
Yes.
So
Yes, when you
so
already
without him,
bounce
how do you
balls
get around
around.
that dagger? That's the first obvious thing. Is like, okay, if you're setting aside the tank thinking he doesn't need it, how do you think it is that he doesn't really need it?
Well, because Stormtrooper, where does it say the Stormtrooper pre-taunts?
It's in the unique where it says the Imperial Remnant tank will taunt for 1 turn.
No,
At
whenever somebody gains decay, where does it say?
No, go to the very end where it
Of
talks
the
about
leadership?
where it talks about
Whenever an
the
Imperial
taunting.
Remnant ally gains a stack of decay, they taunt for 1 turn. And Imperial Remnant tank allies
Does anyone
taunt for
have
1
decay
turn.
at the start of the battle?
Da, 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 da. I don't think so.
I did not see anywhere in
I
this
don't
kit where
think
it said that
it's
they got
granted
DK
that
to start
that
the fight.
happens
Which
immediately.
means he does not pre-taunt.
If he doesn't pre-taunt, then I'm okay. Then
Yeah, that was my whole point,
because-
TJ. Is if there was a pre-taunt somewhere, we have a conversation.
Well, if
But the
that's
fact-
the case, why don't we just switch out the word storm for sure? Then are we talking about like do we
It has to
do we
be-
have a
can't be on
need
the
for a
team. He's not
tank?
Imperial Remnant.
It has to be a remnant.
Ah,
That's
there
why
you go.
I think.
Okay, so that's good. That's good.
It has to be. Now, like I
Okay.
said, we'll wait to see if I'm right, and it does end up becoming that he does get to pre-taunt, which is what I'm waiting for. If I'm wrong, cool, I'm wrong, and then
Well,
you're right.
it all depends on
absolutely.
whether or not we can give him decay, right? Like how are we starting
doesn't
off the
spawn
tank
with
with a
decay.
stack of decay?
And he doesn't spawn with a stack of decay.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think anything's
Yeah.
implying that.
What I'm saying, TJ, is I think it's fine to have Stormtrooper on the team, but I think it really is the 5th we're talking about, not the 4th.
Oh yeah, no,
Right?
it's
I think
absolutely
it's TFT or
yes.
Storm, because Scout is just screaming. I put down. I make these guys punch harder. I call more assists.
Knowing
go fast.
Knowing the other pieces to the kit, TFP is 100% on this team.
You really but if it's coming down like that, then you're really thinking you would prefer to have TFP over Scout?
I'm telling you that on this team, because the one piece you're not looking at, we're just looking at Enoch's kit, and you can't. You have to look at DTP. In almost every essence of DTP's language, does he talk about if the leader is support? And then it says, there's other pieces that talks about the Omicron, which is cool, and it's very good. But in almost all facets, it talks about if the leader is support, and then it does extra things. If
Yeah,
the
I'm
leader
looking
is,
at it right now.
But
DTP's
but
unique.
that really calls out to Enoch, not TFP.
Yeah, well, let me
Right.
read this. Let me read this here. If the ally in the leader slot is not an Imperial Remnant tank, whenever an Imperial Remnant ally is dazed, stunned, shocked, or inflicted with speed down, all Imperial Remnant allies gain 15 speed, stacking max 60 for the rest of the battle. Whenever an Imperial Remnant ally is critically hit, remove 3% turn meter from all enemies. Holy shit, that's nasty
Yes,
with the
that's what I'm
with the
saying.
thing.
That's who
And then-
stuns and puts them speed down. Scout.
Yeah, that's fair. DTP
keep
gains
going.
5%
That's
turn
who-
meter stacking
really,
for
really
each
good.
stack of
Doesn't
blight
stun or
inflicted.
put down speed down. TFP.
it's not. All right, just keep going. I'm telling you.
No, that
TFP is
that
on
was
the
it. Just DTP gains
No,
5%
it's not.
turn meter.
It's in it. It's other parts of his kit. It's in his special. It's
Oh,
in.
okay,
Look at.
I got you,
I'm
I got
trying
you.
to tell you. People aren't listening.
All right, so here it is. In necrotic tissue, if the ally in the leader slot is an Imperial Remnant support, dispel all buffs from all enemies.
Right.
If the target enemy already had blight, inflict a stack of blight. All allies gain offensive.
That's going to be the
speed.
territory war. But it's like
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. It's like
Nothing in
built-
there says TFP. Like that doesn't really.
Well,
it's not
yeah,
really-
what's
the reason why
making
I'm saying because he's not actually. You can make him to a base. I made him to a base 380. All right. So now we're starting at TFP at a base 380.
Holy
Now,
shit.
Now, hold on. Now, in here, there's TM gain. You're also gaining speed up.
Yeah.
What's his name's? The support Enoch's lead also gives 15 speed. You're not at 380. You can get him to like 430, 440 flying. And his first move is
Well, yeah,
always
this unique
buff
is
community.
giving what?
That's what
never
I'm
mind. It only
saying.
gives
It's-
himself speed. Never mind. This part gives others speed though, up to 6.
Right, but that's so you're stacking his speed already. There's also TM gain
Did
that's
you
built
did
in.
you know this? Did you know this Scout's only like 6 speed?
I'm telling you, I'm not disputing on the Scout. I'm saying absolutely TFP is on this team. You're calling him, and I'm telling you that
Yeah.
this team is built. I will concede that you could get rid of Storm and add Scout, but I'm telling you the reason why I'm trying to do this and set this apart is
you still have a full actual Imperial Remnant team that you can use with DTMG. You can cleanly break it apart. Put
No, read Scout's kit, how it staggers, stuns, speed downs. Again, everything in Pridia's kit and everything in Enoch's kit screams Scout Troop.
Wait,
I think you
Sasha,
can still split
Sasha,
it.
Fatal. What thoughts do you got? Oh, did we lose Sasha?
Sorry,
Yep,
Sasha
he had
did.
to take
He
off.
had to
Okay,
dip, yeah.
Sasha
Sorry,
had to
my
dip.
apologies.
Thanks,
Yeah,
thanks
I've
for
been
joining us,
bogarting the
man.
time.
Have a good night.
Been bogarting the time. Sorry.
No. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, no, Sasha had to dip, and that's fair.
I would look forward to what Fatal has to say, though. I am interested in hearing what he has to say.
All right, what you think, sir? Put you on
Hang
the
on, sorry,
spot.
I was pouring water on this blanket. Sorry, hang on. Okay. Well, I am buying shorts on the Imperial Remnant faction, pretty much as a whole outside of any seasonal Datacron support. I agree with you that the arts and the flavor is very fun, but when I read through these words, there were only like a few sentences that created a spark, and then those sentences contradicted each other, so there's really only one sentence that creates a spark for me. And the rest of the faction that I see right now, I see a team that is exceedingly honest in an era of the video game that is exceedingly dishonest. Do you all remember Dooku Lee Towson?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you remember the gleeful well, if I just get this Mother Towson AoE off, you will be doomed. You will have plague and also heal block.
Haha, you
And then he
fool.
died every time. And if you
And
died
then you
every
just fucking
time.
died every time because you had zero. You had not earned the right to play the video game. This is just Dooku 1000 2.0 in my eyes, and
Really?
I have been waiting. This is honestly kind of why I didn't pop the stream on today, is because it was hard for me to be excited. I don't see any defense potential at all. If I see this team, I'm running Bad Batch. You can take your health scaling and defense to the bank, and I'm just gonna. Oh yeah, word. I can't health steal. I have to be able to provide my own sustain or true damage or anti-percent health or whatever else be it. Right? So the defense toolset isn't there, but I'm not going to hang a team for that alone. But when you think about what you're going to use the team for on offense, what you really come back to is this one sentence. It's the negative critical chance. And that is a hell of a sentence. And that is, again, there were two sparks that I saw in this team. The first spark was the Peridia negative Terminator when you get critically hit. And I looked at that and I was like,
yes.
that is a sentence. And then they release the next character and they say, by the way, they don't crit. And I was like, well,
But if they
thanks, I
should,
guess.
but if they should, penalties. I mean,
but it's such a different flavor change.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Right. It's a total gear shift change where all of a sudden, okay, so we've established this precedent where DTMG kicked off the Imperial Remnants for real as a, hey, you are exceedingly dependent on turn meter. No fun allowed here. I specialize in that sort of thing. Get out of here. And I think this is just sort of expanding the scope of the Imperial Remnant offense toolkit where, yeah, if you see a team that is either exceedingly honest or exceedingly reliant on, like, let's say, just doing critical damage without any muss or fuss, sure, you can probably use them on offense there. If I look for something to be excited for, in Enoch specifically, I think it's actually just going to be the fact that they did not make the negative critical chance factional. I know Galaxy Heroes has changed a lot in the last, 4 years. But this unique hit me the way that Hux, when Hux first released, hit me as I don't know if you're allowed to do that in this sort of game type way. So you're telling me that if I just jam this in a squad, I say you are no longer allowed to critically chance me. That seems sharp.
No. Why do you think they settled on 450? Why not minus 999?
So I actually submitted a question to the Q&A. I have no idea if it's going to make it, but as Dagger mentioned earlier, crit avoidance. advantage is 200.
Okay.
And so 450 minus 200 is like right in the ballpark of where critical chance has power crept up to right now with like Padawan Obi-Wan. And I think it really depends on if CG future-proofs advantage at some point or not, right? Because advantage in the past was usually synonymous with I'm gonna crit.
Yes.
Right.
And it's
so
easy
we're
to
seeing the
forget
game
that it
evolve.
breaks down like mathematically. Is that
I-
it's a
I completely forgot that it had a number associated to
Yeah.
it until like a month.
Yeah.
And I happened to hover the character on accident. I was like, why is there 3 digits there? What is happening there?
fair.
And so this feels specifically. This feels like the first time the game is kind of acknowledging, like, hey, yeah, things have started scaling in a kind of weird way, but we need to like build
So are
out
you
in this
saying?
direction.
Are you thinking putting him with like Lord Vader?
Really, honestly, I just view it as an addition to the plug and play tool set of like, is the list of teams that can be even run plug and play shrinking? Yes, but like, I would look at it for teams that have a unsatisfying tool set in themselves. I think of teams like Bo-Katan Mandalore. I think of teams like Dr. Aphra, where, I'm not going to say that team's going to be good into every matchup, but there are fights where maybe a team like Bo-Katan Mandalore or Aphra would say, hey, you can't crit me. That could buy you some breathing room. And again, it really kind of depends on Enoch's ability to hold their own. We need to see stats and blah, 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 all of the usual contingent bullshit to cover my ass to not just sound like an idiot tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But
So are you saying that you think that you're going to be using you're going to be using DTMG lead with these 2 new characters still, or are you even going to bother messing around with Enoch?
Well, I'm sure for the next 4 months they'll release a datacron that makes the team eminently usable.
Mm-hmm.
If Nitro Recon doesn't already count for that, but I'm sure that they'll get some extra support on top of that. So right, like all this discussion is beyond whatever seasonal flair they get.
Yeah.
But like the thing that got me today is, do y'all ever do the thing? Because Taz, I do the same thing where I like read the lead and unique first.
Mm.
And I got today in a way that actually kind of pained me.
Ooh.
Which is, I was scrolling from the bottom of the kit back to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I screwed up. Because I started reading the TB Omicron.
Ooh.
But I was reading from the bottom to the top.
And so I read
filled
the last
with
glee and hope.
Well, that I saw a spark, and it's like, oh, this is like a possible direction for the team. Is this whole idea of when you die, you explode in like percent health scaling true damage? And I was like, oh, well, this is the missing piece, right? All of a sudden, it's like, well, what are we doing with this team? Well, this could be like a banner tax attrition direction.
What a waste to put this on TB.
Right? So I look at that and I was like, oh, things click into place so quickly, but it's restricted to TV, and that's where I just end up caught in this middle ground where, am I working on the team? Absolutely, because I'm going to need him for, Balin or something?
Sure, something, yeah, right.
Oh, this is Ahsoka.
Yeah, sure, that too. Yeah, I mean, well, just a couple observations that jumped right out to me. Yeah, so because you kind of can manipulate how and when people would be able to critically strike you, this seems like a team that I would more want to run on offense. I can pick my matchup exactly right and then just kind of steam it. That being said, I really do like the idea that whoever's on this team, you could pump as much relics into them and have pretty good returns. That 150% max health, the 200% protection up at battle start, I do think that it can't be dispelled. I was thinking, I mean, it would suck if it could be dispelled, but it can't be dispelled. So, especially up in our neck of the woods, don't be surprised if you're fighting people that have all R9 people on this team.
Well, and also to
Fatal's point,
what I was saying to TJ about it too, it's like this team feels like how much damage can I do to you as fast as possible? Because like Fatal said, it's an honest
protection
team.
up thing's part of the TB thing. Damn it, I almost fataled myself.
Yeah,
Damn it.
yeah,
We read what we want to read. We
Yeah.
read truly.
yeah. This team honestly feels like just how fast can I get you dead, and the reviving thing feels like a right for real. Like this team just does. This team feels like it's going to kill you fast, and if you get to use the blight or the decay mechanic, you're probably already losing. Unless you're just trying to trade your bodies for their bodies and whatever, right? Like, but to Fatal's point, yeah, like this feels like it's a 5 attacker team kind of thing or 4 attacker team.
Right. So that was the question then. I guess going back to Fatal then is we've heard Dagger and TJ's thoughts about composition. What do you think? Team comps for this for Enoch. So him, Night Trooper, DTP assured. So who's your last two?
I agree that Scout just seems like very clearly flagged or signaled as having synergy here.
All right, that's number 4.
I really like. People are really excited about the TMP change. I really don't get joy out of being a wet blanket, but I don't feel any spark towards him either. It just that man sure does exist. If it was like an AoE ability block instead of a buff immunity, I think I'd feel differently.
Hmm.
Yeah, I I don't know. The last slot would really just kind of depend on whatever team I'm attacking against and like really trying to solve for whatever. Right, it's like if I think that I'm going to be dealing with something like I'm trying to think of like a good offense example right now.
What about DTMG guys? Wouldn't that be kind of crazy? DTMG
No,
is
he has a leadership.
No,
check.
Oh,
he's
it's
got the
the
leader.
leader.
You can't do it.
Good call.
What's
Good
the
call.
actual nature? What's the actual nature of that clause though? Because
He
let's
can't.
see.
Oh, yeah,
It
well,
can't.
what's that blocking?
Yeah, at the start of battle, if all allies are Imperial Remnant and no other allies are Empire with the leader tag.
Okay, so
What does that box
actually
out?
fall apart.
What does that box out?
If
Kind of
all right,
everything.
if that condition is met, whenever another non-droid Imperial Remnant ally would be reduced to 1% health from a non-critical hit. If they have less than 9 stacks of decay, they recover 100% of their health. So you're shutting off like a core mechanic there with
You're
the
shutting off
Yeah.
the lead.
yeah, you
But I
really
think,
yeah.
I honestly think the decay mechanic is if you need to get into a trading off your friends versus your opponent's shit kind of deal. I think it's mostly just a clever or cute Night Sister Zombie esque mechanic. But I think right now, I mean, prawns aside, I think this team is going to rely, like Fatal said, on raw, honest damage. And the fact that it has 9 lives per character is just going to help it punch through whatever's in front of it. But yeah, I mean, it loses to every single turn meter team in existence. You can't really take it against the turn meter team. Yeah, I was super excited about him initially, and Fatal didn't do this, but us reading the kit and talking about it did it for me. Where I'm more in Fatal's camp, where I think DTMG is just going to hold the good characters.
Okay.
I think
I think my
DTMG is
vote
just
for
barely
fifth.
more useful.
I think my vote for fifth is Stormtrooper. I
Fair
think,
enough.
especially if we're talking about the offense use case, that taunts being a special ability, if you can like time it in a spot where you know that it's not going to get dispelled immediately, right? All of a sudden, that TM removal, if you build for potency, is like it's not really about taunting. It's more so just like again, it's a combo piece, right? It's a multiple
TMR to make
chances.
it hit. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
So it kind of interacts with the game plan in that way that I kind of buy it.
I'm sorry. So Fatal, who was your thought on that final fifth? Then maybe you said it and I missed it.
Oh,
He's pulling Scout and then Scout and Storm.
Scout
Yeah.
and Storm. Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, I forgot about Stormtrooper having the TMR, and yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But again, that goes back to that such an honest game plan. It reminds me almost of the reason why you used to run Stark with Veers against other overflow teams just to win the battle.
So it sounds like we're kind of a unified front on this being in an offense team.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I think Fatal talked about it earlier, where I think Enoch is going to be a tool in your toolbox, but I also think you probably want to save DTMG as well because I think he has more use cases because he's
So both
anti-TM.
perhaps rotating to being part of our regular offense kit.
I don't think there's two teams here. Is the point I'm trying to make. I think there's one
Right,
team.
right. But you're saying you would reserve all of the options for offense and then take what you feel you need. Build out the
Yeah.
team you think you need.
I can already tell you that I am differing in the opinion, and I will be putting this on
Ah.
defense, and I will be trying this out with what I'm thinking is going to be. Because
And
the other
you-
thing is spelling
I
out.
want to be wrong.
I do, and
I
if
want
I'm
to
wrong,
believe.
I'm cool. I don't mind. I want to see the data. I want to see it supported. That's why I'm going to wail on it to go, unlike the other ones.
Very
I
good.
think there's merit here, and I've also been a TFP guy since TFP came out free to play, and he was.
I
So
also
it's like
2017
I
characters.
love TFP. So it's like seeing it in action, being able to do it, and what I think it's going to do with a kit within a kit is going to be surprising, and I think it's going to hold merit. And TFP has I still want to see what it's going to do. Plus, he's also an attacker, so he's also getting the other setup as well.
I'll tell you this. I really want you to be right about TFP because long have I been looking for an excuse to sink a Relic 9 on TFP just for the sake of the ship. Just to have that little extra margin because he gains every little bit of dodge he gains on that ship is just just top notch.
And what it could be is where I could be wrong is how the turn order needs to be. And it needs to be a specific way for this to fly out because once it starts, you don't get to stop it for like there's buff immunity and then doing the old combo like 88 with the bomber or
Well, you're
with
planning
what
for
you
him to
call.
be first then because you're already in the 380s, right? Like you're
But
like
I'm wanting him to do that, but it may not be that case. It may be because if you look, there's a removal of all buffs, and then you apply the buff immunity, and you don't get to have buffs anymore.
Yeah, I guess
It's
my thought process is simply like, what's the purpose of the fast TFP? Like
it's
he has a
it's just
targeted
fine.
ability. He has a targeted ability block and
Mhm.
an AOE like buff immunity, but he doesn't
Right.
generate EM.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I could be wrong.
The team up. So
That's where I could be wrong. Where it could be altering is like, no, I want this. I want it to be in this turn order, and that's what made it be.
I want TFP to be good because fond memories of his ship, fond memories of using his character. He had a Datacron like a year ago or a year and a half ago or something, 2 years ago. That was really cool. But honestly, his kit's just not good.
yeah, it's
I know it
not a
sucks.
modern kit.
See,
Not
the thing is though, some of the simple kids can do really effective things, and that's what
yeah,
I want to see.
If
And
they're
that's
set
where I
under
was
a
like,
lead
I'm not.
with like
It could
ally
end up being
uniques.
to where you're saying it could actually be Scout
Yeah.
Storm. It could be this way, but I want to test this, and that's where it's like I'm willing to sacrifice whatever it's going to be. It's like, well, the data shows this died super easy, or it's like, oh, well, look, this got to hold it, and that's what I want to be at. And as Fatal said,
to me, it sounds kind of like a cop out because you're saying you want data, but there's not going to be any data the first week. People are going
no,
to try
it'd be
to
week 3, and I'm fine with it. That's fine, but but either way, there'll be something there with it, and that's what I want to see. I think Enoch's worth it for me. I'm willing to go.
He's willing to
hedge my
prove
bet
your
on.
suspicions, Dagger. He's willing to
Yeah.
prove them out.
That I don't mind calling it out.
Fair.
And that's what it's like. If you're not willing to do it, you talked about the guy. It's like, well, I'll be the guy that's on it because I think it's there. And like I said, I've already had fun with them enough that even if it doesn't, I know I'm still sold on how much fun these remnant characters have been.
Wow.
I really like the modularity of the team. I will say that.
Mhm.
I like the fact, like, there's a lot of teams. I'm trying to think of. There used to be a time when you would save Mon Mothma, Star, and Adrad because you only get 2 of those teams, right?
Yeah,
And you just kind of like use the ones that you needed for wherever you needed them. And that's how this team feels. It feels like there's 7 good Remnant characters, and you get to decide what you put together to use, and Iden gets Death Trooper back.
I see.
And we're also like guaranteed to get more characters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's the other piece I think
Yeah.
it holds weight is where, to what you're saying, I think one true partial truth comes in. When we get Galactic Legend Thrawn or whatever it's going to be, I think they're going to fill in these other pieces that would be even better characters, right? Like, we'll come back, like, it's a year later, it's like, well, TFP is like, who the fuck cares because you have this character now, right? And so it's like, so to the point of what it's like, it's just to be fair, right? It's like,
TF,
yes,
who the fuck
I
cares?
want it to be a
That's
true,
fantastic.
but that's the rule of thumb, right? It's like Scout will still have merit because Scout's a great character under Remnant, and that's just he's all around under Remnant. Scout is the shit. There's no disputing that.
You know what I can't wait for? I can't wait for Thrawn to come out and he takes Night Trooper, DTP, and Scout, and Enoch and Gideon looking at each other like, well, we had a good run, guys. I guess we're
so.
in the trash game.
Here is one thing that was brought out that was pretty funny is his Omi being on the unique.
So the thought is that Enoch may go as a part of the other team, like a part of the other character. Because if you're telling me you're going to have a Galactic Legend Thrawn, and that they're not going to adjust Enoch to be under Galactic Legend Thrawn, you're fucking
No.
crazy.
Well, maybe. I'm just making a joke about how, like, I think that Thrawn is going to have a conquest character go with him.
I can still see Enoch
Similar
being
to
there.
how
It's
Ahsoka does.
his side
And,
on, right?
and
But I
I'm
see
just
why you're
making
saying
it,
it.
and I'm just kind of musing about the fact that the three very best Imperial Remnant characters, in no particular order, are Scout, DTP, and Night Trooper, and
I
they're
think that's
going to
pretty
be
fair.
on the best team because they all just fit together so well. So I'm just mostly just like looking down the road. And how funny would it be if DTM if the Gideon team ends up being like DTMG, Enoch, TFP,
Well, what the cool thing
Stormtrooper, and
is,
Death
Oh
Trooper,
yeah.
right?
and
What does that
here's
the
why I
Imperial
bet you're
Remnant
right.
team?
Here's where I bet you're right. Is all it calls for is Imperial Remnant support. If you don't think Thrawn is not going to be support, to already tie that in, you're fucking
Yeah.
crazy,
Oh,
right? So it's like
yeah.
your point is exactly that. It's like he's already got built in for support. I'm talking about Enoch, but there's no way Thrawn is not
Well,
support. It's just not
DTP.
possible.
Well, yeah. DTP and Night Trooper both care about leaders being not a tank and or a support.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. That's where you're spot on. It's like they just what I think they did is future proofed it so that when Thrawn does come out, they've already got DTP is already built in for this, and he's already got a TW on me. So it's going to be
Yeah.
even more nightmarish.
No, I agree 100%. No, I think
Yeah.
that's the plan that they're going for.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, we have been down the road and back again. Any final comment you wanted to throw in on Enoch before we make a wrap up? Anything else? Because
Yeah, I think Enoch is going to fall somewhere between Fatal and TJ's optimism / pessimism.
okay, that's fair.
I
I
get
have hope
that.
that it won't
It's,
be as useless as Fatal thinks. Maybe not useless, but I don't think it'll be as
Underwhelming. Yeah.
underwhelming as Fatal thinks. And I definitely don't think it's going to be. I definitely don't think it's going to be a defensive stalwart. But I think
oh,
it will
not
be. I
stalwart.
think it will be a solid modular offensive team until we get Thrawn, as we kind of discussed. And that's
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, and of course, like I forget which one of us just said it, but yeah, I mean, we still have the three sisters yet coming, so there's
the great
more,
mothers,
more to be seen, to be sure. But yeah, as far as making an early usage of him, okay, yeah, some things to try, perhaps limited expectations. Okay,
I think his final spot,
please.
kind of taking Dagger's summary. I think I'll adjust my call slightly. I think it'll be the new Wampa. I think it'll be an ankle biter. For
Like, literally.
you'll post an 11 team and you'll see your history next week and you'll be like, man, yeah, okay, fine, that team did suck a little bit too much, and like is a little bit too honest.
I like how you're like, I'll adjust my expectation and then immediately double down on that.
I said I was
Standing
planning
by.
on holding my cards close to my chest.
Fatal over here saying it beats Dash.
like I told him, and like every good marriage, I disagree with my other half, so it's fine.
Yes. Yeah,
No, so all I will say to this end is it's easy to imagine the power fantasy, and it's harder to imagine it being taken away from you. And I just see it all. I see AoE ability blocks, I see AoE stuns, I see fear, I see whatever malicious plans that enemy team may have for you. And we will see how it goes.
That's fair. That is fair.
I can't help but think, like, and I just ran a fight through my head, Fatal, about if they put a fast Vet Han on a Dash team, and now you just lose on the spot. And you just lose on the spot to a Vet fucking Han AoE ability blocking you.
Get humble.
We'll see. We'll see, gentlemen.
Very
No, I
good.
know.
See.
Very good.
I'm just with Fatal on this because I made a joke about Dash, and then I like played a fight in my head with the kids. It's like, oh,
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, but it ain't fucking happening. That's what TFP there
And
for.
listen,
Very nice.
maybe it's the flip side. Maybe I imagine too many horrors that, like, again, maybe people will just post a team where, like, no, you left the door open. You forgot to lock the door. Maybe.
Yeah, I hope it is good. I hope it is good. I am. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's, interesting and immediate offensive application we can all see, and then it's hopium for any type of defense anything. Yes.
Yeah.
Until further notice, other character kits
He'll
pending.
get Krons. We know at least he'll get Krons, and that'll last 4 months.
So
and
he'll be
then Thrawn will
viable,
come out 4
viable
months
as a
later.
defense for that reason, alone.
And then Thrawn will come out 4 months after that, and then we'll have 4 more months of Krons, and then he'll just be with the GL, so it won't matter.
That's true. That's true. This conversation is all irrelevant once Thrawn is here.
Yeah,
Basically, this whole it's
And
not
that's
good. It's
perfectly
neck
fine
now.
fate for them.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get ready to wrap up. Time for, final thoughts, last word for the people. Dagger, why don't you kick us off? What do you got for the folks?
Are we not doing the patron questions?
We don't have any.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess, you know what? Thank you for out of me, guys, to all of my very beloved patrons. I take this on myself. I was a little late in getting everything finally battened down for scheduling the recording of this episode, which means I gave my patrons late notice to submit questions to put in for the patron question of the show. And as a consequence, you guys only had about 24 hours to get them in. It doesn't look like a lot of you got the chance, and I take that responsibility for that. That's on me. Sorry, guys. I'll do better next month. I promise. So yes, thank you for exposing my shame, Dagger. And now your final thought and/or last word for the people.
Yeah. So because of our long conversation about Enoch, I forgot how fucking good Scout was. I just want to say I have a renewed appreciation for how many things Scout Trooper does.
They wrote a lot of words in that character.
They did.
Yeah, but they're good words though.
It's a big ass unique.
Yeah, I am excited to get my hands on Luthen. Again, as we discussed, I am one of the enthusiasts where I will do my best to make this shit work, regardless of its actual power level.
It
And
sounds very fun to play.
oh yeah, and it wouldn't be a stream if I didn't close it out with Enoch is coming out, so I'm gonna go make a trip to the Tasnix's Cheap Crystal Emporium. Might look into a remod while I'm there. Might get some TW maps.
Fantastic. That's good. That's good. The bitter is a fantastic flavor. I enjoy it.
Hey, but he changed his name to troll you. Like, whatever. Like, he deserves it.
I suppose. TJ, how about you? Your final thought, your word for the people.
I'm going to take Fatal's side on what I think. We're going to have a very honest week 1. I am more excited going into week 2. Like, we're going to have a lot more places to explore. So I'm more excited for week 2 to be here already.
It's going to be honest in the sense that people are just going to lay the set 6 baby arm on defense and let you sweat it out.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I mean. So I'm not trolling Fatal's thing, but I think it's a very honest week 1 we're going to get. So I'm excited. I'm just moving into. I'm already there for week 2, just waiting because I'm excited to see what he gets to do.
Living in the future. That's good.
Yep.
That's good. All right. Well, Sasha Aisha had to dip out, but if he were here, I'm sure he would.
His final thoughts were that your hat was stupid, and you could do better.
Are you sure that you're not projecting yourself onto it?
Yeah, Sasha would never say those words.
I'm 100% sure that I can hear Sasha in my head.
It's just a verbatim quote. Okay.
No,
Gotcha.
I can hear him in my head saying that.
I see.
Yeah, I can hear it.
I see it.
I mean, I'd have to slip him the piece of paper under the table to get him to say it, but that doesn't mean I can't hear him say it.
Nevertheless, he would have something nice and helpful to say, and I will credit him as such. Wish you well. Wish you were here, buddy. Fatal, sir. Last of the line. What do you got? Your final thoughts. Your word for the people.
Nothing too substantial. Mostly just kind of considering picking up efficiency because I've given up on 5v5. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if that's not committed to it, but I'm...
The horror.
Okay,
the horror.
Don't talk about Tess.
Well, I know it's going to be boring normally. So I'm like, well, what if we can do risky efficiency where I cut too many people? And then I asked how the efficiency that it was going. And they were like, oh, yeah, no, we just already solo everything. And I was like, well, that plan went out the window. So I don't know what I'm doing.
It feels like you're trying to 4-man with Starkiller. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, I'm just trying to pursue fun. And maybe it's time to stop going down with the ship and just start shooting myself in the foot instead.
Okay. Fair. Very fair. For my part, I am, like I said, panic farming up my last little bit of set 16 crons. So make sure if you don't have your goals met, you're doing the same. I guess prepare yourself, of course, for a return towards the efficiency meta. We spoke about this in the last couple of weeks in the 3 versus 3 season of plotting and scheming, that it feels like the pendulum, the last couple months has swung towards defense mattering again, and now it feels we're giving some of that back up. So, yes, as always, generic week 1 strategy. When in doubt, make sure that you have enough for offense. Don't get caught flat-footed. And, best of luck otherwise in your preparations. Before I go ahead and do the outro here, guys, Fatal, as the only other content creator here on the stream, give yourself a plug. Where can the folks find you?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV. You can see my How About All team, and just don't look at anything else that happens. We'll see, but don't look. But we'll see.
I'm very happy with the crit chance on my Master Qui-Gon these days, especially in 5s. I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to do. I was working on that in the background all 3 seasons, so we'll see.
Well, we've been talking about 4 or 5 attacker teams all day, and that's about to be one.
Yes, very much. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, to wrap up, of course, if you want to catch me live, you can find me on twitch.tv/Tassinix. Of course, if you're used to watching the Plotting and Scheming podcast here on my YouTube, Tassinix Gaming, thank you so much. Give a like, give a subscribe to see more, all that good stuff. On the YouTube channel, there's some other Grand Arena related content you might be interested in. I have Datacron set videos covering sets 15 and 16. I do make those with Aesop Rock, one of the very best players in the game. We'll be making one a little later here for the yet unnamed, undefined set 17. Stay tuned. Let's see. I also upload all of my Twitch VODs with chapters added for easy browsing there. And last but never least, my mod guide series. That started off as a request from you all, the viewers, and I've been keeping it going, moving through Afra, and BT1's video just came out today, 000 to come soon. Always looking forward to you guys' comments and requests for what you want to see next there. But yeah, that's all there on YouTube. Can't forget that Plotting and Scheming also gets rebroadcast out on Spotify, YouTube podcasts, and if you have the RSS link, which I think you can find off of the Spotify page, but if you have an issue, reach out to me. All you Apple Podcast users, you can just plug in the RSS feed into Apple Podcast and you'll get the show right there. So that was the workaround. Really appreciate my community that helped me figure that one out. Let's see. And of course, if you've really enjoyed the show and you want to, support what I'm doing over here on the channel, of course, I did add a Cash App at you guys' request. That's $Tassinix. And last but never least is the Patreon. Oh, that's the wrong damn slide. All right, let's see if I can fix this first. All right. First slide is check out patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest to you. $5 a month gets your foot in the door to the TAS House, where you get early access to Plotting and Scheming, as well as the Datacron set videos. A dedicated chat and voice channel, where you can usually find me lurking, so if you want to be in touch, that's a place to find me. Thank you so much to all the VIP Access members: Andrew, Arj, Brock Thudsteel, Deadpool Cal 28, JJ's Productions, Jobin4527, Johnny B. Ottawa, Ray's Malbus, Renee Bebe, Sam Vimes, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens 14, and White Wolf. Stepping up to the $10 tier is VIP Access Plus, where you get the bundled package with patron access to me and to OmegaBot Patreon. So if you watch any of my streams, I do a detailed OmegaBot report, review that for every opponent. There's no other tool that gives you such a powerful at-a-glance image of your opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies. Can't say enough good about it. Thank you to Stryker and Ash Sotnikam for taking that offer. And for $15 a month, there is VIP Access Premium, bundled access to me, OmegaBot, and to Hot Utils, the premier tool for your mass loadout mod inventory management. You know, with a couple of with a couple of clicks, you can easily switch between Grand Arena, TW, TB, raid modding. Really powerful tool. Bunch of other functionality I haven't even mentioned. But thank you so much to Quig, Ibanec, Sir Boss, Funky, Focus, and General Milan. At the top of the list, Ingestors Club Elite, Nomad's Reaper, the one, the only. This guy pops into stream from time to time, drops hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies all at once, goes crazy with it. Really appreciate the generous support over the years, man. Thank you so much. And of course, last but never least, our special thanks. First to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters back in the day, bought me the mic I'm talking to you on right now. He has long since quit the game, but we remember him fondly from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all of your efforts in the background managing our industrious, curious daughter who wants Daddy to write out a whole bunch of words over and over in multicolored pencils when he's trying to be halfway decent at a phone game. So thank you for running interference. And of course, to my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Guys, love what we're doing. It's a great show. It's something I look forward to on a weekly basis. The feedback keeps coming in. People are loving what we're putting out. Some folks are saying it's even their favorite podcast. And honestly, I'm checking a lot of the folks that are following us on YouTube. I'm proud to say, guys, there's a fair few folks that follow us and no other Swugga content creators, which is quite an honor because there's some stiff competition out there. There's some great folks doing good stuff. So thank you guys for being part of this winning recipe.
Did you really say that some people have said that this is their favorite podcast period?
For Swugga, unironically, yeah. Like I'm over the moon. Like I've heard that a few times, a handful of times. I'm not saying I'm getting it by the dozens or hundreds, but it's
awesome. There's a lot of great podcasts.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a huge compliment because we've talked to some of the people who have podcasts, and and like that's impressive.
It's true.
Take it for you, man.
It's true. Well, hey, no, it's a group effort. I really appreciate you guys. All right, we've made it here to the finish line. That about wraps this one up. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this preview. And of course, we'll be back next week with the breakdown on week 1. Until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.